Zionists. That's just a fact. And what Zionism entails, and what we see in Israel, and this is them believing that this is this is a right to have this state, to have this secular ethno state. So if you have the right to have this state and you celebrate this, and most Jews in America celebrate this, why is it that these WASPs, because that's what they are, they're just Anglo Protestant people, that's what it is. They're WASPs, and these WASPs want a WASP state. That's what they want. And so when they expect Jews to be idealistic about their principles, and that it wouldn't just apply to Jews, that you don't believe.
So you see this as a common ideology. Like they have the same ideology.
So if this is an ideal, like if you Jews believe like Zionism is an ideal, and the way it's presenting itself in Israel, like why can't we also have that? So they'll like, we also want that, so we are natural allies. Like you shouldn't be.
That might be. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting point. I don't know. I mean I understand how like people might see a commonality, like a common thread between Christian supremacy and Jewish supremacy, which is how a lot of people perceive Zionism.
Now, with liberal Jews, which is just like, quote unquote, there are Jews who you see themselves, allied with like Palestine. So I would say, you would say these are liberal Jews. Now, these who ally themselves with Palestine, what would you say the percentage of liberal Jews who ally themselves with Palestine is?
So, I mean, in America, I think he's focused on American politics, right? And in America, the vast majority of Jews are liberal. And I think there's a big generation gap. I think there have been surveys. The younger generation is probably like 60-40 or something. I don't know. There's a Pew survey, which has probably changed even more since then, that shows the younger generation especially sort of shifting on the issue of Israel-Palestine. But the old guard, for sure, they have a different memory of Israel, and they remember an Israel that stood for other things, and so it's very divided. It's probably
boomers. So you would say the boomers, for the most part, are
versus versus millennials and Gen Z. Yeah.
They just group up usually Gen Z and millennials. I don't think we're that far off, But
yeah. Like this app, I hope is not reflective of like Jews in America. It's like very divided along generational lines. It's hard to know on this app because on this app, like we don't know how old people are. So, but it probably still is along generational lines.
I usually ask. They're older than at least me. I'm 30. I know most of the Zios on this app are older than me. So, but I don't know anybody younger than me, actually. Maybe.
I'm older than you too.
But anyways, but you saw my point. Like the WASPs see Jews and Zionism as an ideal they want to achieve because they see that their
no, you made it. That's a good point.
Is being threatened by guys.
Benny and Pastor. I respect you. I enjoyed our conversation the other day, but we're talking about people who we think have Christian supremacist views, and I don't have the stomach for it right now because of our conversation the other day.
So I was in BB's room, right, when the Qatar thing happened, and I was like, man, that was so slimy how that happened. Like they got lured to slaughter. You were promising them that you would have a talk, to release the hostages, right? You lured them to a place and bombed them. That is the slimiest thing in the world. And the PM of Qatar denounced it, and he said that there should be a retaliation. So here we have this guy, what's his name? Charlie Kirk.
Yeah,
who has been pushing anti-black rhetoric for the past week. Really for the past few years, you know what I mean? But definitely the past week. He is an enemy of the black people, right? So I'm not going to say we can. So if Hamas is your op, Hamas is your enemy, right? And you can celebrate and laugh and say, yeah, we did that. We lured them to slaughter. Why can't we celebrate the enemy of the black people?
I don't know. I think generally we should take a higher ground if we're championing human rights. We should take a higher road and champion death of anyone, and definitely not murder or vigilante justice. There should be, if someone says hate speech, the response, I believe, is to respond to them with your own speech and to challenge them and debunk them. But as long as they're not calling for physical harm to people, and if they do, then they have to deal with the criminal consequences,
it's
right?
respectability politics. When an Arab dies or a black person dies, oh yeah, we can laugh that off. Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
You made the connection. You've made the connection.
It's respectability politics. You know what I mean? But when a white
I just don't believe in laughing when people die, just because I don't think it's productive.
I'm not laughing. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put for sure, the people in BB's room are very crude, but I don't think that I would hold myself to their standard,
Yeah.
I think we're better than them. No offense, BB. I see you in the audience. I love you so much.
But you get it, right? Like his angle when it comes down to blacks is the same angle Zionists, or a very similar angle to how Zionists, justify their approach to Arabs in Israel. So it's that same mentality. So if it's okay for you, it's okay for me. That's how they see it. And if the liberal Jew is the standard of what is acceptable in America. Because let's not lie, like the liberal Jew, what they view as good or as wrong is usually supported by media and by the political parties in America.
And actually, this is the through line between not the Kahanists, but the BB tongue-in-cheek Kahanists, BB Kapara and his friends, and the Charlie Kirks of the world, is that they all vilify and demonize liberal Jews. And so that's why they have common ground. They see themselves in this literal Nazi because they demonize liberal Jews, and Bibi Kapara in the audience, hello, demonizes liberal Jews. And that's why they're on the same team, and they see there's a through line there. And thank you, Bibi. I'm glad you agree.
Unless it's fine if you have all these sentiments to what Charlie Kirk. All I'm saying is that pretty much Charlie Kirk is just your overspoken liberal Zionist. Like that's all he is. Like as a Jewish Zionist.
I think it was an opportunistic algorithm thing, honestly, because he became this way. He never had a kind thing to say about Jews before October 7th. A lot of people suddenly jumped on this issue. Yeah.
I believe he's a WASP supremacist. I understand he is a WASP supremacist. I am telling you, there are a lot of WASP supremacists in this country, and they're not necessarily telling you, I believe that I'm better than blacks or other races, or whatever you want to even call a race. But they see themselves as the right that they maintain WASP culture and create a setting that is going to maintain WASP culture. That's what they want, the preservation of WASP culture. And the way they see it is that the example is Israel. That's the example, that you need a state. You need a WASP state. So how do you argue with that? Because, if I argue that is race, you're a race supremacist, then I'm practically saying the Zionist is a race supremacist, and I can't get away with that in America. So that's why he's on these campuses.
I think you can get away with it in America. I think many people do argue. Yeah, I think people in America make the argument in an academic way that Zionism, at least in the way it manifests today, is a supremacist state. Jews do have supremacy over their Arab neighbors. This is an opinion that I think many Jews have. Okay, it's not that taboo, and I think
but we're today
the Jews who leave the lines. The Jews
universities saying that could get you suspended, could get you kicked out of the school, could even get federal charges against you, hate crime. Burning the Israeli flag has now been it puts you at risk of facing a hate crime charge, a federal charge. So that is America today. That is these institutions, liberal institutions.
Mikhail, I think it's abhorrent. I think it's anti-Semitic. I think it waters down the definition of anti-Semitism. It undermines real anti-Semitism, which is a real threat to people. And I think it's harmful to Jews to. Benny Adam, you don't believe in anti-Semitism at all, so I don't know why you want to participate in this conversation. You don't believe it exists, based on our conversation.
Just mean anti-Jewish, anti-Jews.
No, he says he thinks Jews had everything they had coming to them, basically, because that's what you told me yesterday, Benny.
It's just a religious angle.
No, he thought that Jews were the reason they were persecuted was because of something they did, because of their superiority complex. Like the way the Holocaust happened because of their superiority complex.
But isn't the religious narrative, especially if you go through the Hebrew Bible, all the things that are bad that happened to Israel is because of Israel?
No, what do you mean? All the things that happened to bad in the Bible. I don't know what the Bible has to do with recent history, which is
I'm saying the belief, the religion, the belief. If you go to these rabbis and why is shit happening to us? They tell you, well, look, here's the example of the Hebrew Bible. This is why shit happens. So,
no, that's not my experience, Nicole. I'm sorry.
Well, I know his specific perspective. I don't want to speak for you, Benny Adam, but I know that. I guess you are a Christian supremacist.
Yeah, he is. But he's proud of it. He's okay with it.
Yeah.
Technically, anybody who believes if I claim I'm a Muslim, I definitely believe what I believe is the truth, and what a Christian believes is falsehood. And does that make me a supremacist? I'm not sure.
Well, you
but do you think you have rights above others? Do you think you're superior to other religions? Or I don't know.
Superior, but again, I don't believe in race. Academically, it's not. It's a pseudo concept, and religiously, it's just we're all of one Father to begin with. So.
Oh, so you separate things in cultures, pretty much cultures and subcultures. Instead of race.
Yeah. No, race is stupid. The biggest problem in American thought as a culture, as a people, is that we have this concept of race, and for some reason, it's the main identifier when we want to approach people or how we see people. Immediately when you see someone in America, you immediately black guy, and you already have this software and how to deal with this person. Yeah. You've already it's so hard to get beyond that in America,
because of our history. Yeah, Benny, I want you to speak up for yourself. I know I said a bunch of things about you. You say you don't agree with Charlie Kirk, and he's a Christian supremacist, and you also are. So I'm curious where the division is.
He's a loss.
Okay, there's a lot of differences. First of all, he's Protestant. I'm Orthodox. Just on that basis, we have a very different understanding of what is Christianity, and a lot of aspects of Christianity. He's not even apostolic, he's not even Catholic. Second of all, from what I understand, and I don't know his theology inside out, but he's Christian Zionist, and that is, I believe, a heresy, a big heresy. Now, when it comes to Christian Zionism, there are different approaches to it. So there's the one approach that believes that the Jewish people will, be killed when the Messiah comes,
right?
And that they're just an ends to a means to bring about the Messiah,
right?
And they're expendable.
Yeah.
And then there's the other strain of Christian Zionism, which believes that actually no, the Jewish covenant is still intact, and that these people are still God's chosen people. Right, so I'm not sure where he falls on with this regard. In my perspective, they're both heresy. Right?
So you don't think the Jews need to be brought to Israel so that the end times they could die or whatever? The evangelicals believe in this end time vision.
Yes. So this is a prophecy from God, but that does not mean that we have no obligation to fulfill this prophecy. No Christian has ever believed that our purpose is to fulfill these prophecies in order to bring about Jesus. It's that these things will happen.
Evangelicals believe that they should.
Yes. But no
so Christian Zionism, just for the pro-Israel people in the audience, Christian Zionism wants to see the demise of the Jews, right?
No, there's two strains. There's one that
is he evangelical?
Both are evangelical, right? But one of them believes that the demise of the Jews is inevitable, and we don't care that the demise of the Jews will happen in order to bring about the Messiah. These people also believe that a sliver of the Jewish people will actually accept Christ and they will be saved, but the vast majority will be killed. And then there's another strain that believes that the Jewish covenant is still intact and that the Jews, being God's chosen people, are like genetically superior and don't need to believe in Christ in order to gain salvation. These are two different strains of Christian Zionism, both of which are Protestant, both of which are evangelical.
And you don't know.
I don't know where Charlie.
Yeah, got it.
I think both are heresies.
Got it. I got you.
Right? And if you actually believe or you follow apostolic Christian history, we never believed that we have to fulfill these prophecies in order for Jesus to come. Like, this is not something like the Crusaders could have, when they took the Holy Land, brought all the Jews of Europe into the Holy Land in order to fulfill this prophecy. They did the opposite. They expelled them.
Have you ever debated like a McZed or like a George?
Mixer just yells at me. I know. I've seen him be intelligent with the atheist theology people when but he's.
That'd be a good debate, Benny Adam and McZed.
I've spoken to McZed several times, but yeah. With regards to like Christian supremacy, I think Christianity is supreme or is the ultimate truth. But I don't think Christians, like as people, have any kind of supremacy over other people.
Okay.
There's a big distinction there.
Okay, so some of the things, I don't want to rehash what we talked about the other night, but it just got I just can't, right now I just don't have the stomach for it. But I, like, some of your views seem to suggest that Jews are fundamentally one way and fundamentally flawed.
No, I think Judaism is fundamentally flawed.
But you said Jews deep you said something like you can't take the pit out of the person, or was that Pastor who said that?
That was Pastor who said that.
Okay, fine. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Judaism is fundamentally flawed.
How do you feel about today's events, Benny Adam?
Dude, it's tragic. Like, nobody should be killed for their political views. Like, this is wrong, right? Regardless of, and now Charlie Kirk was very pro-Zion, by the way. He defended Israel's genocide.
I just want to say he jumped on the bandwagon after October 7 opportunistic.
That's not true. Even before October 7, no, he was always very pro-Israel.
He was also anti-Semitic, though. He said anti-Semitic things.
Yeah, like I was saying, there are Protestants who believe that the Jews are bound for, destruction, but still support them. Like, there's a joke about Nixon, how Nixon was a terrible anti-Semite, but a great supporter of Israel. Right? So, like, yeah, this does exist. But I, on the basis of him being very pro-Israel, even before October 7th, have a big disagreement with Charlie Kirk on this regard. And there are other aspects, other things like his vehement support of, ironically, gun violence or acceptance of gun violence in order to maintain the Second Amendment or whatever.
I mean, he hated black people, hated Muslims, right? Charlie Kirk. He would rail against them all the time. But Jewish people also. While he didn't demonize all Jews, he demonized lefty Jews, which is why right Jews, when we're having such divisions in the Jewish community, have embraced him, even though he demonizes Jews in an extremely, with the vitriol, right? In the ways that he uses all the classic anti-Semitic tropes when he demonizes left-wing Jews. And that's why folks like Norm and Bibi in the audience embrace him, because he demonizes the Jews they disagree with, even though throughout history, anti-Semitism persecuted people based on their political beliefs, whether it was right or left, whether they were Marxist or capitalist. So when you endorse Bibi, Norm, and Daniel, when you endorse someone like Charlie Kirk, you're endorsing someone who's engaging in classic anti-Semitic tropes that led to the mass murder of Jewish people. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. So, with regards to Charlie Kirk specifically, I don't know. Like, from what I know about him, is that he was a vehement supporter of the State of Israel up until probably a year after October 7th, because he started getting a lot of backlash from his own community with regards to his support of October 7th, and denial of a lot of things. Like, he denied that the USS Liberty incident even happened at some point, right? And he had to step that back because just the fact that it happened. But he used to deny a lot of things that the anti-Israel crowd and the crossover of anti-Semitic crowd would say to him. And he had to change his view at some point. And he was called an anti-Semite about a year ago on specifically leftist, like Media Matters and stuff like that.
But also by mainstream Jewish publications, which I'm going to put in the chat for El Normo and Daniel and BB if he's still around.
Mainstream being leftist.
No, JTA is not leftist. It's like a classic news wire for Jewish people. I'm going to post an article so they can understand that this is...
I'm pretty sure is pretty
no, JTA is the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. Is a very it's backed by like a pro-Israel nonprofit. Here, I'll post it in the chat.
And
they say he's anti-Semitic.
I want to give a message to all right-wing Israelis, right-wing Zionists and Jews. You guys are linking up with these white supremacists, with these American right-wingers, thinking that you guys share the same sentiments. You guys are linking up with Pepe, right? These people are talking about, these guys are using the same anti-Semitic tropes that all white supremacists use in secret. You guys are just aligning right now because you have anti-Muslim, anti-Black sentiments. You're not doing yourself or your nation or your people a service by linking up with these people. I saw that.
Thank you. No, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that, Allo. Normo, I want you to be able to speak. Don't get too worked up. I'm curious because I think you're kind of a liberal, right? Before October 7th, so I'm curious what you think of Charlie Kirk.
I've always been a liberal. My whole life, my whole family is.
Okay.
And by the way, we're not anti-Black or anti-Muslim.
Okay, so tell me what you think of Charlie Kirk and his beliefs.
No non-Black group has given more to Black folks than the Jews of America. That's a fact. Time, expertise, and money.
Yeah, we did support the civil rights. Yeah. Okay, so can you tell me about Charlie Kirk?
I never said Jews. I never said all Jews. I said right wing. I said right wing.
Well, what makes them anti-Black?
Okay.
They've never done anything. And what makes them anti-Black?
Normal. Can you answer the question? I'm curious what you think.
When I go into their rooms and they say nigger, nigger.
Oh, I don't know. So you're referring to somebody who's not here. I can't help you with that. Right. I've never heard a Jewish person say that. If they say that word, I say stop it, and then I leave if they keep doing it.
Okay.
And I get that as much from Arabs, including Mikhail, who was just on the stage. He was screaming that word for hours at a time in Amir's room.
All right. We're not rehashing. Normal. What do you think of Charlie Kirk?
I only know a few clips that I've seen on YouTube, which he's debating people on Israel. That's the first time he came to my attention. Needless to say, I'm grateful for his support of Israel. I haven't seen anything else by him.
He's motivated by his Christian supremacy, which historically has been harmful to Christians. He says he is a Christian supremacist. His group says ADL. Do you think the ADL is far left, like your friends?
No, I don't think anybody's far left.
So the Anti-Defamation League says that they're far right Christian. The ADL. Yeah. Says that Turning Point USA, the group that he founded and has branches on every college campus in America,
why don't you quote
is a pro-Christian.
I just read what they said, and they didn't say what you're saying. They said
the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League.
I looked it up.
They said they promote conspiracy theories, and they are a Christian supremacist group, and they're
you're gonna have to give me a direct quote.
Okay. Did you see the link that I posted in the other room?
How can I see what's in the other room if I'm in this room?
No, previously. Okay, I'll send you the ADL link. Hang on.
I'm going to look up now. I'm asking Google or ChatGPT.
No.
Turning Point. Hang on. What was the word? Is Turning Point racist? That's what I'm going to say. Okay.
Are they?
Let's look it up.
This is ADL. Look at the link in the chat.
I'm there. I'm looking.
There's a link in the chat.
So it says, I'm going to read it to you. It is a right-wing student organization. This is from the ADL. Okay. Founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, raised millions from conservative donors and played a significant role in GOP politics and elections. Since the group's founding, he's moved further to the right. He promotes Christian nationalism, the idea that Christians should dominate the government, other areas of life in the U.S. It attracts racists. White nationalists have attended. It has created a vast platform for extremists and far right-wing conspiracy theorists. No place does it say that it is a Christian supremacist, as you just said. Try telling the truth, Buttercup. I'll listen. I'll mute up. Go ahead.
Okay,
It doesn't say what you say it says. You have to tell the truth. You claim to be somehow involved in terrorism.
you don't have to be. You don't have to be an asshole about it. I'm going to read to you. Calm down.
Being an asshole.
Calm down.
I just read to you.
Okay, so don't be a dick.
Why am I being an asshole?
I'm letting you talk, so let me talk. Thank you.
Okay, go.
Okay, so this is what the ADL Jewish organization says. It's a right-wing organization founded by Charlie Kirk. He's moved farther to the right. Okay, so it's the same thing.
I just read the same thing to you.
Yeah.
Doesn't say that it's supremacist. Doesn't say that it's anti-Semitic. Doesn't say that it's anti-black. None of that.
Here it is. Promoting, here we go. Then you scroll down and it says promoting Christian nationalism activism. His politics moved farther to the right. He promoted conspiracy theories about the 2020 election, about COVID vaccines, and promoted Christian nationalism. That's what Christian supremacy is. That's what Christian supremacy is. I'm still reading. Calm down. Stop yelling. Jesus.
I'm not yelling.
He promoted He promoted the Seven Mountains, an idea associated with dominionism movement, which argues that Christians should be involved in 7 spheres of influence: government, media, education, business, arts, entertainment, church, and family. He referred to President Trump and said, finally, we have a president that understands this.
Okay, so no white supremacy, no Christian supremacy, right?
That's what Christian supremacy is, Christian nationalism.
Sorry, now you're I beg your pardon. There are 2 separate words for 2 separate phenomena.
What do you think it is?
You can say he's a Christian nationalist, according to the ADL. You can't say he's a Christian supremacist unless you have a source. And don't try to make believe one word means another, because it doesn't.
Okay, so do you deny that his events attract white supremacists and people who promote supremacist ideas? Do you know that he's associated with these organizations that promote? He collaborates with them. He's also been involved in like another. Okay.
Wait, yeah, Buttercup. Honestly, I'm reading through this ADL what page.
You're saying wax.
I mean, even if you were to assume, even if you were to assume that Christian nationalism is Christian supremacy, again, there are different kinds of Christian, doctrines. It could be a Christian doctrine that believes that the Jews are still God's chosen people, in which case this would not be anti-Semitic in the least bit. Like if he was, for example, I don't know, Catholic supremacist, then maybe you can make that argument. Even then, not a great argument.
But he doesn't say that.
But more importantly, the ADL page doesn't say anything about him being anti-Semitic.
I don't think. I mean, I have no evidence that he was. So all of your points go out the window. Forget you, Buttercup.
I don't know if you were in the room, Norm, but we did read a series of statements that he made about Jews being responsible for hatred against them.
You mean 10 years ago when he was 21?
Wait a minute.
No, after October 7. After October 7, he blamed them for it.
You'll have to show me that one. So far, I've disproven everything he said. But again,
okay, so in the chat, you'll see JTA. Click JTA. Mainstream.
Eternal.
Listen, JTA is sponsored by a pro-Israel nonprofit. Okay. I used to work for them.
Don't try to Jew wash your false statements, okay? Give me the facts.
Read the article that I just posted. Scroll up, JTA, Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist. This is what he says about Jews, okay? Well, he defends. After visiting Israel, he said in 2019, that's when he discovered Israel and decided he's pro-Israel and defend Israel. So it's 2019. But after October 7, he drew controversy when he said Jewish...
When he was 23.
No. In 2023, 2 years ago, Kirk drew controversy.
2019.
That's when he became pro-Israel.
Okay.
Then in October 2023, he said the Jewish philanthropy to American universities have been subsidizing their own demise by supporting institutions that breed anti-Semites. Then on the Kirk show,
you know what
let me finish. Yes,
I want us to tackle that bit.
No, I know what you're going to say. Move on.
What do you mean move on? You don't want to stop and talk about what you're saying?
No, I know what you're going to say about that, so I wanted to go to the next point.
Well, we have been supporting institutions that have become anti-Semitic.
Okay, so you agree with that. Okay, great, good.
Well, Columbia and
Harvard.
Harvard.
So, great, you refuted it. Great job. Great job.
Do you disagree?
No, you're 100% right, so we're going to move on to the next point.
Okay.
The Charlie Kirk Show, he also says the Jewish people control not just colleges and nonprofits, but the movies, Hollywood, and all of it.
Okay.
So that's an anti-Semitic statement, right? So it's
It's
a
a
Hollywood.
commonly held conspiracy theory.
Okay, anti-Semitic conspiracy. Okay, all right. Now, all right. So you say it's common. It's okay, it's gray. It's gray. Fine.
So what
Gray area.
point are you making right now?
Okay, I'm going through all his anti-Semitic statements.
Okay,
Stop.
okay.
Let's go through them. We went to two. You said the second one was not so bad. Fine.
You haven't said a single one that was
Okay,
anti-Semitic.
you brilliantly rebutted the first one. The second one you said was weak.
No, you agreed with me.
Okay,
Why
yeah.
don't you just get to something that's anti-Semitic?
I'm agreeing with you. You
Well,
say
why
it's
do you
weak.
have
It's
to read
weak.
the ones that don't support your point? Just read the
I'm
ones
going
that
through them. I want to hear your views on each of them. Charlie Kirk said, listen, let's go to the next one. He defended Elon Musk when he said, you have said the actual truth to a user who posted a reference to the Great Replacement Theory, writing that Jews were coming to the disturbing realization that immigrants to the United States don't exactly like them too much. Jewish communities have been pushing this kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them, Kirk said on the show.
What you just said doesn't make any sense. Wait a second.
He
Say
says,
this again. So Jews, he said the
defense-
liberal Jews are pro-immigration, but the immigrants don't like the Jews. Any problem with
I'm
that?
finishing the statement. He's in the middle of the statement.
Was there any problem with that?
That's half the statement. It's the first
Okay,
half.
what's the other?
The other half of the same statement is Jewish communities. This is the white replacement theory. Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. He said on the show.
What you're saying now.
And then he said, let me finish the sentence.
Okay,
Let me
you're not
finish.
quoting somebody who's
Let me
quoting
finish.
someone.
Stop. Let me finish. The philosophical foundation of anti-whiteness has been largely financed by Jewish donors in this country. This is the Jewish replacement theory, okay? His concerns about the erosion... Oh my God, you don't know about white replacement theory?
No, I don't know what you mean with your words. What
I'm
are you trying to say?
I'm reading his statements that
It makes no
align...
sense.
He's explaining why Jews are the
What you're
reason...
reading is somebody quoting him. So I think to understand what he said, we should listen to what he said instead of
Okay,
listening
so...
to somebody quoting
Alright, you
him.
want to play your
What
show?
you're-
Man,
What you're
you're
saying
trying to
makes no
gaslight this woman, man. She's reading
No.
you direct quotes.
No, she's not.
Now
She's
you're
reading
moving
me
the
somebody
goalposts
else
and
quoting.
saying,
That's
let's
not
hear
a
some
sir,
videos.
sir.
So you're
That's
going to
not a
send
sir.
her on a
That's not a
quest
direct
to
quote.
find
Sir,
videos
sir,
now?
it's not a direct quote, sir.
You're not about to gaslight this woman.
Sir,
Stop
no,
it.
you're not about to take your ignorance and stink up the room with your
No,
stupidity,
you're
sir.
gaslighting this
You're
woman.
stinking up the room.
And we're
You're
all,
stinking it up.
seeing this.
Okay,
She's
we
giving you
all
direct
now.
type
We
A
all now.
white
You.
supremacist rhetoric about Jewish
Okay, I want to hear the white
theory.
supremacist part.
She's giving it.
Well, hang on. Let me hear it. I want to hear you
She's
tell me
giving
what
it to you.
No, she's not.
Yes,
What she
she
said
has.
makes no sense.
They
And what
walk
you
around
say
saying
makes
the
no
Jews
sense.
will not replace us. The Jews will not replace us.
When did he say that?
Around
Slow
America
down.
saying
When did he say that?
No, wait,
Wait, no, Othello, hang on. Everybody stop. When did he say that, Othello?
He's
He
spouting.
supported Elon Musk's defense of
When,
Jews.
no. When did he say Jews will not replace us?
When he said that when Elon Musk is speaking the absolute truth,
Okay.
Elon Musk shared a tweet or made a tweet.
What was the tweet?
Okay, read it, Buttercup.
Wait, I thought you knew it, Othello. You just
No,
made
he
it.
doesn't know every turn and twist of the social media controversy, okay?
Then why is he talking?
Because he's referring to the same
Because
social
you're
media
trying to
controversy.
gaslight this woman in front of
How am I
the whole
gaslighting if you don't know what the fuck
You
you're
No one
talking about?
remembers every twist and turn of fucking bullshit on social
When
media.
did he say Jews will not replace us?
What he described a philosophy that is associated with the folks who marched in Charlottesville and
Got
said
it.
Jews will not replace us,
Got
okay?
it.
Which is called, the theory is called white replacement theory, right?
Yeah.
Okay?
And who described that?
So Kirk wrote it in defense of Elon Musk when he shared a tweet and defended that endorsed this policy. And what he said in that context, Kirk said in the context of Elon Musk's tweet and endorsing white replacement theory, he espoused the similar views.
So now you're quoting the JTA, quoting Kirk, quoting Musk? That's what you're doing right now?
No. Kirk, JT is quoting the show, and there's a link if you read the article.
Okay,
He links
okay.
to Kirk's show,
Right.
where on his show, which is linked in this article,
Yeah.
he's talking about this Elon Musk tweet and why he
And
endorses
the
his
Musk
views.
tweet is that somebody's telling the truth.
Someone who supports the great replacement theory.
And
who
who is that
referenced
person?
it.
Who is that person?
The user who he's referencing. I'm talking about Kirk and what he says to support this.
supports Musk, who supports somebody else who was unnamed.
No, but Kirk, when he's defending it, he's espoused the same ideas
Okay,
on a
so
show that's linked.
So you're telling me that Kirk espouses white replacement theory?
Yes.
Okay, where?
Okay, so here's the statements he made on the show, which I can link if you would like. Here, let me link to that.
Just tell me where and when and what he said.
Okay.
Did Kirk say?
I just read it to you. Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites. The idea, white replacement theory is that Jews are
I
part
know
of
what
the.
it is.
Okay, so Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. They're saying
Doesn't make
Jewish
any
people
sense.
hate white people.
Right. It doesn't. You're telling me that Charlie Kirk says Jews hate white people?
Yes. The philosophical foundation of anti-whiteness is largely financed.
Is this? Wait. Is this in quotes? You're telling me that.
Tell you how many times
Yes, it's
I've
in
heard
quotes.
Charlie Kirk say Israel has the right to defend itself. So this sounds like BS to me.
Royal,
So-
we're talking about why he is anti-Semitic, even though he's a fierce defender of Israel. The
You're
reason he
telling me-
defends Israel is
You're
for
telling me that he
opportunistic
supports
reasons.
replacement theory, but you haven't. And you're quoting the JT Jewish Telegraph Agency.
Which is backed by My Jewish Learning, which is a
I know
pro-Israel
what the
organization.
JTA is. I know 1,000 times more about this.
I
than
worked
you
at the
do.
JTA, silly.
And you still don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I do.
Oh, really? Is that a quote that you just read me from Charlie Kirk?
It's a direct quote from his show.
Read me the beginning of the quote.
Okay, I'll read it again.
Yeah.
We're going in circles.
I'm
Jewish
listening.
communities, stop being so hostile. I
Stop being
respect
so
you, Lord.
hostile. Stop being so hostile at a person who wants to dismantle Israel. Forgive me.
All right, dude, you're being.
Wait,
I thought you were gonna behave yourself. You're not behaving yourself, okay?
what the? Are you kidding me right now?
Behave yourself. Come
Are you
on.
kidding me?
This is my room.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, you are
Be
rude.
kind.
But
Wait, there's a decorum in here.
did you not say you want to dismantle Israel?
No. Yeah, once again, you're misrepresenting my words.
Okay, explain to me those words. Yeah,
We're talking
wrote
about-
when
We're talking
You
about your
said-
favorite guy, Kirk.
it's not my favorite guy. You're a liar. Stop
Okay, so
being
how
a
do you
liar.
feel? Tell us how you feel about him.
Stop being a liar. I told you what I feel about him. All I heard was a bunch of clips on YouTube saying how much he supports Israel and attacking the Nazi assholes
Yes,
who support
100%.
murder,
He knows what he's saying.
hang on, who support the murder of Jews. He attacks them and he debunks them. Like you. People just like you who support the murder of Jews. People who want to dismantle Israel and
This
people
is
who
now you're
support
smearing me, and I don't like it.
people. I beg your pardon?
Let me
I'm not swearing you. I'm quoting you directly. I wrote it down when you said it.
Let me read some of Kirk's words.
Okay, thank you, Othello. It's Othello's turn.
All right, he says Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that
Yes.
they claim they want people to stop using.
Where are you reading this from?
Same quote I read.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're reading. So you don't have a source, right?
He said the philosophical
show.
foundation of
I'm
anti-whiteness
sorry?
has been largely financed by Jewish donors
Yes.
in this country.
What is your source? What is your
JTA.
Buttercup, can I ask you a few questions?
Sure.
I'm asking Othello. Othello, where'd you get that? You said it's on X. What's the source on X?
Okay, let me get it to you.
Please.
Royal, no one disputes that he's pro-Israel. That's not the issue. We're talking about whether he also espouses Christian supremacist views and racism.
Which so far you have not
I
shown.
have a few questions. How old are you, Buttercup?
Older than you.
Over 30.
Oh, wait. You're older than me. Great. Okay. Are you American or are you Israeli?
She's American.
You're American. Okay. Are you celebrating? Is this like a
Of course
celebration?
not. Of course not. We don't celebrate anyone's death. We're just talking about why Israeli people fetishize this guy.
Wait. You're calling him a... Wait.
I want to ask you, do you
You're
understand?
calling him a Nazi, so presumably you celebrate the death of Nazis, so don't lie.
I would never celebrate anyone's death. I'm just trying to honor his legacy properly.
Okay, is Charlie Kirk a Nazi?
No, he's not.
Okay, now is Norm a Nazi? Because somebody told me you called me a Nazi earlier, and they recorded it.
I didn't call you a Nazi.
Hey, there's
That's
your
what they
source,
said.
Norm. There's
No,
your source.
I said you are the. I called you Kahanis. You're part of the Kahanis room, but and I said it was tongue in cheek. I said it was tongue in cheek.
I was told you called me a Nazi.
No,
I did not.
This is your source.
I did not support Kahana.
I mean,
But I know I said it was tongue in cheek. I made it clear that you don't support Kahanism. I said it's tongue in cheek. That means almost call you Kahanis as a joke in a tongue in cheek way.
I don't think it's a joke. I think Amos is serious. I think you don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, almost as serious that you're a Kahanis? He calls you a
What's that?
Kahanis.
Huh? No,
Almost calls you a
I think
Kahanet.
you are a Kahanet.
you don't know what a Kahanet is.
Yes,
Use words that you know, Benny Adam.
Okay, you understand that this happened on a college campus. The shooting happened on a college campus.
Yes.
Right. So that's my whole point. You know, people ranting and raving and trying to just continuously diminish his character when he was just shot dead a few hours ago.
Yes.
It's kind of giving off.
Calling him a Nazi. It's filthy and
Sounds like
disgusting.
you guys support, like, it literally sounds like you guys support school shootings. I don't even agree with Charlie Kirk, but I'm not going to sit here and just, diminish his character, call him a Nazi and all this shit.
Buttercup supports violent resistance against oppression and dismantling Israel.
But this is not how we deal with U.S. citizens dying, like, especially on schools.
You don't call people who assassinated Nazis justifying their murder, Royal?
No, this is disgusting behavior, honestly.
No, listen. Even Buttercup is not justifying this.
Oh, well, if you call somebody a Nazi, then you...
I've never endorsed murder. I've only condemned it.
Calling him a Nazi endorses his murder.
No, it
Of course
doesn't.
you gotta kill Nazis. Oh, yes, it does.
You endorse murders all the time, Norm.
Never did. Never did.
No. Hold on.
Never did.
If you think, hold on. Norm, are you saying that just because someone is a Nazi that justifies you killing him?
No, I'm saying you guys make that argument about the Jews.
No. Just even if I call Charlie Kirk a Nazi, that does not mean I de facto justify his assassination. It only means that
I disagree with you.
Normal. It only means that. Hold on, because you're interrupting me. It only means that. Stop interrupting me.
Oh, don't.
It only means that if you think it is justified to murder anyone,
No, you do.
Normal, stop interrupting me.
Well, then stop bullshitting me.
Stop interrupting me.
Stop
It
bullshitting.
only means, dude. It only means.
All right, just speak, Benny.
Thank you. He's gonna keep interrupting. But yeah, just because you call someone a Nazi, that does not mean you justify his murder.
Oh, yeah, I think
It
it
only
does.
justifies
I
his
think it
murder.
does.
Again, I knew he would interrupt me. I knew he would fucking interrupt me.
Well, I
It
disagree
only
with your
justifies
point.
his murder.
What's your next point?
If you think that murdering Nazis is valid,
No, you think that.
that means that you think
No, you
that
think
murdering
that.
someone based on their political ideology is in fact valid. I do not think that. Even if someone is a Nazi, I do not think it is justified to murder them. I do not think it is justified to murder anybody based on their political ideology. You do, which is why you think that calling someone a Nazi is a justification for their assassination. We can call people Nazis or communists and not justify their assassination, and in fact denounce their.
Thank you. You lost yourself, as usual, Benny Adam. You know a lot.
No, you just couldn't control yourself and continue to interrupt
I
me.
don't need to
Which is
control
why I
myself
had to
when you're
stop.
wrong.
First Benny, then Normal, you'll have your turn, but we're doing
I'm not, honestly, I think I got my point across. He's gonna keep interrupting me, so I don't really care.
And Normal,
He
do you want to
thinks
say
that
something?
listen, he thinks it's valid to kill people based on their
No,
political
you do.
ideology.
That is why you call Charlie Kirk a Nazi.
No, but I denounce his assassination.
Oh, Mazel Tov.
So I don't think it's valid. You do.
Sir, you're a liar.
No one has endorsed
I'm
killing in
not
this
fucking
room,
lying.
I want
okay?
to be
You're the
more
only
accurate.
one.
I want to be more accurate. You're a fucking liar.
All right,
How am I a liar? In what way did I lie? Justify that statement.
I'm sorry.
Okay, let's go to the next point. What do you have, Buttercup?
Justify that statement. How am I a liar? Normal, how am I a liar? Justify that statement.
Because you just claim to say to what I say and what I think and what I do. You're a fucking liar.
In what way do you not justify it?
And by the way, it's a sin, and God punishes sins of the sin of bearing false witness very harshly.
I did not bear false witness. Justify how I lied. Justify how I lied.
What you said.
Guys,
I'll
it's
tell you
boring.
how. You said that I justify killing Nazis, and I did not. You're a
All right,
fucking
no
liar.
one's justifying killing Nazis.
And now
Nobody.
you need to go repent to your God.
All right, nobody is justifying killing Nazis. Time out. Normo, do you want to move on to the next point, or do you want to go down? What do you want?
Go down.
Yeah, do you want to talk about something like substantive, or you want to just yell at Benny?
No, I didn't have to yell at Benny. Benny yelled at him.
No, you just continued to
All
hyper
right,
interrupt me.
could just. You just
All
gotta
right,
bring it.
next person to
here's the
interrupt is
point.
going down.
Here's the point,
No.
Buttercup.
Normal.
When you say that you want to dismantle the Jewish state,
All right, Benny.
when you
Normal,
hang
you're not
on, let me
cooperating.
finish. What's that? What do you mean cooperate?
We're trying to move on to the next point. We're being substantive. Let's move the fuck on.
Well, let's
No, you can argue about my feelings about the Jewish state a different time. It's not the topic, silly.
Say
The
that
topic is
again?
my feelings about the Jewish state is not the topic here.
No, I'm saying your murderousness towards
All right,
Jews.
you know what?
Feelings
Enough
towards
already.
the Jewish state.
Enough. This is just deranged.
Is it deranged?
All right, I never called for the murder of anyone, including the Jewish state.
Norm, you're
The reason, I just want to say, Bibi Kapara and Norm, the reason they call me a murderer of the Jewish state is because I believe that the current form of the state is not sustainable. People keep dying. It's been escalatory violence for 70 years. And we need a new model so people can live in peace and stop dying. And he thinks that makes me a capo. He thinks that makes me a traitor. He thinks that makes me a bad Jew. And that's okay.
No,
Anyway.
you're just an altruistic liberal, and
Yes,
it's about
maybe I'm
time.
naive, but it's not a crime.
I know you. I know your kind. I'm from California. I'm from the Bay.
not a
Your
kind,
kind
I'm
is.
just
No, I know, but you're part of an altruistic left in America. And Mazel Tov, it's rare when I meet someone like you on these apps. So, it's refreshing. We need left in more. We need more left on this app.
Okay, so another point I wanted to make before Normo just went on crashed out is that in addition to having espousing these ideas of white replacement theory, he's also just goes on rampages all the time about black people. He's been obsessed with fucking black people and is always just demeaning them and accusing them and Muslims of being sort of the root of all evil in society, and that too is a reason that he is considered a supremacist. Jihadist loves Charlie Kirk, okay? That means he...
He also insinuated, and I just posted the link in the chat, he insinuated that Netanyahu proposed a stand-down order on October 7th and allowed Hamas to come into Israel and commit what they committed. So I posted the link in the chat. This guy's a type A white supremacist. I don't know what
That is true, though.
I'm just saying he pushed it.
I mean, that is factually accurate. There was a stand-down order on October 7th that is completely...
First of all, that's not accurate. That is speculation, and I think we need to be clear about that. I understand that people
Like him
speculate.
pushed it.
Even in Israel, they're very critical of this.
Yes, no. I think you guys are conflating a lot of things. That there wasn't a stand down order so that October 7th could happen. That's not what happened. What happened is there were I actually read the internal post-mortem from the IDF that hasn't been made public. And what happened? They talked about sort of their intelligence failures, and there's a lot of questions that are not answered because the Israeli government won't allow them to do an investigation. So the truth is we don't know. And I try to have the same high threshold for proof on both sides when each side makes claims. And the fact is we don't have proof yet. We don't have proof yet. Yes, but it didn't. It wasn't a full investigation, and it wasn't.
Yes, and Kirk insinuated it, and I posted the link in the chat.
Without evidence.
He did. I remember that. But he was just like, I don't know.
So,
It was just
okay, so guys, I want the Zionists to know. How do you feel about the fact that Kirk thinks that Netanyahu intentionally allowed October 7th to happen? How do you feel about that? Is that pro-Israel?
That's the Israeli deep state.
He calls the Israeli deep state. This is your pro-Israel Jew champion that you guys are
They
fetishizing right
can't
now.
hide it. These white supremacists, man, it's in their subconscious. It's gonna come out. You just wait.
I'm so flattered by all the clarity in the audience.
But there is within Israel, in the right, people who believe October 7th was a deep state job. They allowed this to happen so they could wipe out Gaza, continue to push Zionism into high gear. They wanted this. That's
not a far right conspiracy. It might be on the left. People speculate because there were all these ridiculous intelligence failures, combined with not listening to the spotters, combined with Netanyahu's alliance with Hamas. But like, but the fact is, the people on the right don't say this. They love Netanyahu, and they wouldn't accuse him of causing this massacre. So if Charlie Kirk said that, and I'm going to read the link that you put in the chat, then that is like should be a big taboo for these folks who think that he's some champion of the Jewish people. This is Forbes.com. Basically. Okay, so conspiracy theorists say that Benjamin Netanyahu issued a so-called stand-down order for the Israeli military, but there's nothing to show that the Israeli government knew of the surprise attack, which killed over 1,300 people. On TikTok, Facebook, and X. All right, let's see. It's fine. The origin of the conspiracy theory appears to be Charlie Kirk, a far-right influencer and strong supporter of Donald Trump, who leads Turning Point. He insisted he wasn't spreading conspiracy theory before he immediately helped spread it, not accentuate conspiracy. Well, I'm not willing to go so far as say that Netanyahu knew that there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand-down order? Was there a stand-down order? He said, repeating the rhetorical question for emphasis. Kirk's wild speculation doesn't appear to have any basis in fact, but instead hinges on the fact that he has been to Israel many times and the whole country is a fortress. He's suggesting that Netanyahu's supposed stand-down order was a bid to garner support due to the Israeli leader's domestic political problems around controversial judicial reform. Kirk insisted of the attack. When I first heard the story, I had the same gut feeling that I initially did. This is very hard to believe. The clip went viral on TikTok before migrating to places like X, where the hashtag BBNew gained steam on Monday. But of course, there's no evidence that Netanyahu knew of the attack in advance, although many Israelis are understandably upset over the intelligence failure. Just so we're clear, Charlie Kirk is implying that Bibi Netanyahu purposely let Hamas murder 1,200 Israelis and behead children, blah, 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 blah. So it was clearly...
I'm going to tell you this. October 7th, the initial timing, the Israelis were caught with their pants down. They ignored the spotters. It was a holy day. A lot of them were just not doing anything. And so they over-reliance on technology that was Hamas had years to figure out and exactly see how it responds. And they caught them with their pants down. But after the very few hours, like the 3-4 hours, after that, there was a delayed response. The military should have showed up. Hamas was not expecting to be able to overextend the way it is. They thought that after securing the military team, they would have fights with the military. So they would see tanks approaching and that they would be dealing with Apaches.
I understand. I've heard this theory before, and it's fine. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just that Netanyahu won't allow an investigation to disprove it. Okay, so the same standards I apply.
Wait, check the no. That's not even all it is.
I'm not even saying it's wrong. I'm just saying they won't allow an investigation, so we don't know one way or the other. And I'm gonna apply the same standard I do to Daniel when he gives me like fucking propaganda memes about starvation in Gaza. You need to have a certain standard of proof before you make a statement and a claim. I understand the claim. It's just a claim right now, and we won't know until there's an investigation. Which the Israeli government won't allow.
Check the link I put in the chat. This is a soldier from the Golani Brigade. He actually said that there was a stand-down order on the morning of October 7th to not conduct our normal morning routine. Operations, right? So, this comes from the Golani, and this guy is named, not just like an anonymous soldier. Check the link in the chat. And he's not even the only soldier to say
by Radio Rebelda. I'm sorry, but I don't know what this news site is.
You can find. Okay.
This is not Radio Rebelda Cuba. Let's see. I want to see Israeli Shalom Sheet Reed to a station that Pega were playing. He said, the Cradle reported, citing Israeli media outlets. So, okay, let's go find the Cradle.
Because it took place like 4 in the morning, like after Fajr. So right after Fajr, they engaged in the operation. So right after dawn, the operation began, the October 7th, or Aqsa flood. Then the question is like,
here's the link from the Cradle.
How long did the Israeli military know after the operation began? Like, how long did it take them to know that they were facing a full operation?
I agree. There's a lot of questions, but my point is, I just want to hold there's a lot of questions and a lot of unanswered things that, unfortunately, until there's investigation, we won't know.
But Buttercup, like, you don't need an investigation to know this is what had to happen.
Okay. So I'm looking him up individually aside from this source. It says on July 20, he testified before a Knesset committee that he received an unusual order on the morning of the attack to halt border patrols. His testimony, also posted on social media, raised concerns about the broader failures leading up to the attack. Since his injury, he's been rehabilitated. He's become a public figure sharing his inspirational story. To explain the implications of his testimony. Okay. Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist, this is what he says about Jews. Okay. He's given a strange order. Even the commander who gave the order didn't understand why they were giving this order. So, I mean, this is suspicious.
What time did the order come in?
2019, that's what he discovered.
5:20 a.m.
He's pro-Israel and defending. I mean, there was a lot of misinformation, a lot of mistakes that day. But I don't know. Listen, I don't want to get into this. Guys, I understand the theory. It's a claim, it's a theory, but we don't have more information. Like, all we know is, there was a lot of strange things. There was a lot of miscommunication, and there have been, like...
I'll tell you at least what happened.
Let's put together what we do know. So there were claims from people...
We're not doing this. We're talking about a Nazi. We're not talking about...
Okay, she doesn't want to talk about October, so...
No, we're not entertaining.
Another room, and you guys can piece that together.
Yeah, you
No,
can piece
it's just
together...
what Charlie Kirk said wasn't wrong. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, it doesn't
But
matter.
that's not the topic. I don't want to go through your anti-Jewish conspiracy theories right now.
This is not an anti-Jewish conspiracy theory.
I know we don't have enough data right now.
How is it an anti-Jewish conspiracy theory? Really?
Because you're speculating. I'm not saying it's not
I'm
true.
not
I'm saying we don't have
speculating. I'm taking the
data.
testimony
Don't have
of a
data. It's
soldier on the
anecdotal,
ground.
dude. It's called anecdotal data.
Just drop it now.
It's one guy's testimony. Okay, let's move on.
We're not here to-
Wait, so if I bring you more guys to substantiate his testimony, what would you say?
That's the topic, and if you keep harping on it, then we need to focus on the issue. We're not talking about
Okay, so what's the issue?
October 7th.
Charlie Kirk, he's a Nazi.
They want to have a
Okay.
Charlie.
The topic is Charlie Kirk. If you don't want to talk about it, then you don't have to talk about it.
Listen, we're
Well, this was something that Charlie Kirk talked about. But anyway, all right, fine.
Okay, so you're
So the
arguing he's
topic
a
is-
truth teller. You're saying he's a truth teller by
I'm
quoting.
saying that not everything he said was a lie.
Okay, so then you do agree with him. I don't know if you do.
Yes, I can both agree and disagree with a person. I don't have to wholeheartedly agree or disagree with somebody.
We're here
It's not
to
just because CNN lies, that doesn't mean everything that CNN says is a lie.
Okay, he has no evidence. He offered anecdotal evidence for something that spread like wildfire, and we have not found substantial data to support it yet, but perhaps there will be in the future. In the meantime, let's give it a rest and focus on the facts that Israelis have aligned themselves with someone who spreads anti-Jewish conspiracy theories. And this is included because he doesn't have enough data, just like you and I don't have enough data. So it's speculation until he does have the data. He did it before there was any data in, so that's why it's speculation. Until the data comes in, then we just don't know. I'm not saying this because I'm a defender of Israel or not. I'm not a defender of Netanyahu. I think he's a crook. I think he aligns himself with Hamas. I'm not like I think he's a fucking genocidal monster. I think he aligned himself with Hamas. I think he propped up Hamas for years. But that doesn't mean we have to entertain every speculative story.
We'll move on from this. She doesn't want to talk about October 7th. She doesn't want to talk about Mexico. I think if the shooter is what we all think the shooter is, Antifa, most likely far left. I think the left is like seeing what's happening. I think we're gonna see more radicalism, like in America. If it is the far left, I would be surprised if the shooter's on the right. That's just, but I mean, with the shooters that we've seen, like the one who shot Trump, like that guy was also like on the right apparently. So it's
We
weird.
don't really know anything about that guy. That's what's funny.
I don't know. So I'm not gonna make my bets on this one because the shooter with the pattern that we've seen, could totally be, on the right. I don't know.
So look, if you're willing to entertain conspiracy
Yeah, we
theories,
did read those comments he said about Jews or being, and they're accusing them of their cultural Marxism, accusing them of being controlling the media and Hollywood. But Norm says that's all fine. It's a normal anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that we're cool with, as long as he supports Israel. So they didn't really care about that. Thanks, Sam.
I mean, they are very influential. You could say that, like, Zionists.
See, this is.
You don't want to say Jews. You could say
honestly,
Zionists. Do you deny that Zionists are very influential in Western media?
Yes, they're.
Whoa.
No. On the one hand, no. It depends who you ask, right? So, in my experience as a journalist, when both sides accuse you of bias, you're usually on the right track. Like, you're usually somewhere. It means you're trying to be balanced, and nobody's happy. You're taking the balanced road. And both Zionists and anti-Zionists accuse the New York Times of being completely biased for the other side. And so papers like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, which hold themselves to high journalistic standards, which means that they attribute every statement that they make, and they do it with neutrality. And they attempt, even if they get something wrong, they correct the record. They're subject to libel law, so if they say something wrong, they can be sued. And they used original sources and
they
to explain the way that
Mossad agents.
They employ Mossad agents. What are you talking about?
They had a Mossad agent for one of their articles, and so like a former Mossad agent.
No, there's a woman who was used to be an Israeli, so she's serving the IDF or something, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that woman. Was it just IDF, or was she
No, it was
like
just
some
IDF.
sort of Mossad?
No, but everyone in Israel serves in the IDF.
Or whatever her department. She was an officer. She's not like some...
Okay, she wasn't an officer when she was reporting for the paper, though. She's
a former,
Okay, but everyone in Israel is that way, so that's generally not a disqualifier.
But what she was, what her department was in the IDF, that's, I believe it had something to do with media or something.
Okay. So, I think since we're talking about a guy who espouses anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, Mikhail, I respect you, I like you, but you also espouse anti-Semitic conspiracies, and so do you, Benny Adam, and so I think it's
I'm saying facts. Facts. You can't deny that American media, Western media,
is controlled by the
Zionist.
Okay.
It's very Zionistic.
I think there are outlets that are more Zionistic and those that are more left-leaning. There's a whole media ecosystem.
even left and right media organizations in America and in Western Europe in general are both deeply influenced, I wouldn't say controlled, but influenced by Zionist Jews.
So they're influenced, I think, by an America-centric narrative, which tends to be very Zionist, right? Because of America's history with Israel, their geopolitical interests in the region, the AIPAC, of course, the way our government is shaped by Israel, and I think it's wrong.
Our government is shaped by Israel. That's the point.
Yes, because over time...
Yeah, and who runs Israel? Jews.
Okay.
I mean, forget Jews, Zionists. How about that? We just see using Zion.
Sorry, Benny.
It's like we're just talking about the same points instead of getting to the topic.
They're really just they're
you guys
I think
have no finesse, man. Like, you guys don't know how to get in the flow of this shit, man.
Yeah.
Go for it. Go.
You know,
they're getting distracted by their own.
Yeah, I mean, we know what it is. You think them people down there haven't heard?
Well, he's Canadian. He's not American, so he can't relate to in America. He can't put himself in the political mind. So all he can relate to us with is on a broader spectrum.
We talking about
the same room.
Kahanis, what she's calling Kahanis on this app, supporting someone who has espoused anti-Semitic.
And you guys are espousing the same ideas. It's not really helping this case. So you're basically siding with the pro-Israel right when you espouse the same anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
We're doing America mode. Okay, hey, I'm on the left too. I'm with you guys. I'm a leftist. I'm not a far leftist. I might be more closer to. middle.
But what you guys are doing essentially is you're lining yourself up with the BB Kaparas of the world and the norms by saying, oh yeah, Charlie Kirk's anti-Semitic conspiracy theories were 100% true. So you're basically saying if you're aligned with Charlie Kirk, then you're aligned with these guys.
We're not saying it's 100% true. I'm not saying it's 100%
The whole point.
true.
Well, you're getting derailed by them because you're getting too excited. They're too alluring for you. They're so tempting for you.
Charlie Kirk is no doubt, and I'll say it right here, is no doubt a WASP supremacist. He wants WASP only. He is a WASP advocate, and that's what he wants. He wants a WASP state, or a state that, its constitution is WASPism.
The problem
that's
is
what he wants.
I want to be honest with you and Benny because I respect you. You guys have hold views about Jewish people that when you hear these anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that, like, those of us who recognize them as tropes hear them as tropes, you guys hear them as alluring because of your views about Jewish people and the control over our political systems and our media and politics and everything. And I'm not saying AIPAC doesn't have disproportional power and it's an atrocity and that all the fucking bad shit that's happening in Israel right now and Gaza. But the fact that the reason it's frustrating to have both of you on stage when we're trying to talk about a really nuanced issue, which is the fact that right-wing Jews have aligned themselves with a man who espouses these hateful views, is that you and Benny Adam, because of your own politics, are seduced by these ideas. So whenever we bring them up, you're like, oh yeah, that's true. Fuck the Jews,
Exactly. We're not here to talk about. We're not here to.
We're just so easily seduced. You're such a sucker for this shit,
I mean, tell me, Buttercup, if we're in World War II, and someone said on the streets, we're literally in Normandy.
I'm just
right
saying,
now.
focus. Stop getting distracted by your own sort of prejudices.
I'm just saying, and then we have a conversation, and we're having a conversation about politics in America, and one says, "Fuck the Germans." Like, we're fighting the not, like, at that point, is it like, are we being like anti-German? Are we saying like all Germans are bad, or like we want to, like, where do we draw the line in these things? Like, when someone says Jews, like, do we mean every single Jew, or do we mean like
the line
the majority?
In the room has to be drawn. The line in the room has to be drawn because we're not here to debate.
All these, they're very alluring to people like you and Benny and Pastor. I understand they're tempting. They're tasty.
Okay, well, I'm willing to move on.
Like, just move the fuck on because it's not the topic. Okay.
Okay, I've said I'm willing to move on. You want to make it a left versus Charlie Kirk? I'm with you.
I think this might be too nuanced an issue to just to explain what Kahanists are and to explain what Nazis are, to explain what anti-Semitism, that it exists at all, is like, it may be too much to explain in a conversation like this. If these are like these are subtle alliances that I find repulsive, and it's kind of an internal debate in the Jewish community. It's something to explain to you. For people who identify as Jews in America, it's been really, really gross to see our institutions, many Jewish institutions, align themselves with neo-Nazis and white supremacists and Christian supremacists and the Christian right, that espouse these views that not only are espouse conspiracy theories about Jewish people, but they demonize left-wing Jews, which is a huge portion of the population. So they're basically demonizing the vast majority of Jews in America, which is really dangerous and really harmful.
The thing is, he had to clean it up. That's the whole thing.
It's not clear why he went to this pro-Israel crazy, becoming like a champ.
He had to clean it up because he had to align himself under Trump. You line yourself under Trump, you align yourself under AIPAC, right? Trump was like, yo, you need to clean that shit up because I can't bring you with me if you saying this shit. So he cleaned it up and he recognized, okay, Israel is our allies. Let me clean this shit up and let me get on this right-wing Islamophobic anti-black train and we're just going to unite over those sentiments.
Yeah. I appreciate your new fellow. You get it. Like, there's just like, it's like people pitting identities against each other here, and like there's all these like subtle internal bigotries that we're like missing the bigger picture here. We're getting like hung up on, like it's such a complicated alliance to explain, and that's what we're trying to explain here, and you're muddying it.
Listen, I was talking to a right-wing Israeli Zionist that's in this room right now. He has a buttercut picture.
Which one?
This was a couple years ago. I said, why would you share a stage with Pepe and mod him, knowing his anti-black stance, knowing his white supremacist stance? He said, brother, I don't give a fuck what he feels about your community, as long as he's pro-Zionist.
Chilling. It's anti-Jewish in my opinion. We have a long, at least on the progressive Jewish side, legacy of social justice, and it's like foundational to the way I understand at least modern American Jewish identity. And like that really, it grosses me out that our Jewish institutions have been so cowardly about this issue, how they endorse Elon Musk's Hitler thing, like Hitler salute. I mean, it's just, why would anyone? It's not even clear anymore what it means to be Jewish. It's like it's just really shattering. It's like the world, the earth is jerked out from under us. Everything we thought was right is suddenly, like, our institutions are turning on us and demonizing us, along with Nazis like Charlie Kirk.
No, I know there needs to be. There are a lot of leftist Jews who are truly leftist, who believe in leftist values in America. I'm with you. I believe in leftist
The
values.
vast majority of Jews. That's who they're demonizing.
I might be a Muslim, and we might be, the way I come off in my conversations, because it has to do with the conflict. I present my views from that angle, but from within America, I'm a leftist. So I'll tell you the values and principles and ideals that don't talk about any identity. That we should axiomatically believe in this stuff. So we're against racism, we're against ethno supremacy, we're against ideological supremacy, support the freedoms of everyone to worship and commit to any tradition they want and identify any way they want. I'm with you on these belief
and Mikhail,
values.
And that's precisely,
and I believe a lot of Jews do believe in these values.
And that's precisely what Charlie Kirk is demonizing and characterizing as Jewish driven by Jews and Jewish power. Just as you see Jewish power, promoting this pro-Zionist conventions, he sees Jewish power as fighting white people and promoting this the spirit of inclusivity and human and social justice.
Yeah, he terrorizes Jews. So he terrorizes Jews that you shouldn't go against me because you advocate because I'm no different than Zionism. That's what he says.
He says we're advocating for our own demise by believing in justice for all and equality, basically. That's his argument. And that's the vast majority of Jews that have these values. American Jews. That's just American Jewish identity.
Yeah, we're all equal.
It is essential to it. Yeah.
We're all equal. The thing is that he uses to terrorize you guys is that, Israel sees that, it's a Jewish state and you celebrate Zionism. So, if you celebrate that, why is it only exclusive to Jews, and why can't I also celebrate that, that mentality or that ideology or that ideal? Why can't I?
Yeah.
This is what the white guy is saying in America. This is the WASP mentality. This is how they got you guys hijacked.
And I think you actually made it earlier, and I want to take it a step further about the through line between Zionism and this Christian supremacy, right? He sees Israel as being, like it or not, whether they are or not, for the people who take issue with this, he sees them as an ethno-state that espouses these Judeo-supremacist ideals, and he wants that in America. That's what he believes America should be, right? And so that's the through line. That's what he admires. That is clear. So essentially, what you're doing, Bibi Kapara and Aleph and Norm, when you fetishize this man, is you are aligning yourself with this through line that he's painted, which is that that Zionism is synonymous with Jewish supremacy, because he himself believes that this is a noble, worthy aspiration. I don't know if that made any sense, Mikhail. Maybe you can explain it better than I can.
No, it makes sense.
So, I don't know.
I mean, the problem with the left, we're the altruistic. Like, we want to speak in like, principles and ideals. When we get to the nuances of it all, we don't want to be, trying to like, even bring up identity or culture. Or even talk about race or anything like that. We always want to keep it general. And I think that it's not working out. Like, we got to be, at this point, we got to really line up what we believe in, and that's it. We got to pass judgment. If we know what the ideals are, we got to start condemning. And I believe the left in America is doing that. Like, we're finally kicking in. Like, it's, especially when it comes down to Israel.
Is Cleto Pepe? Who's Cleto?
Yeah, that's Pepe.
Okay. So he's a supremacist?
But that is being oppressed. That is being oppressed. This final like awakening that we're having. Finally, we're gonna be altruistic, and we're gonna be honest, and we're gonna condemn what needs to be condemned. This is being oppressed in America right now, and the bedrock of all this is our universities. And if they manage to like enclose us within the universities and like oppress us using the very institution, like that destroys who we are. And at that point, we need to fight back against this.
What are the universities doing? I mean, I know there's like this debate about free speech happening, but I think both sides claim the universities are being weaponized against them, right? So
yeah.
So I don't like. That's another sort of hot.
But like, why is it being weaponized now? Like, why now over Israel? Like, all of this is happening. Like, why is it shift? Why is the freedom of speech and like the way it's presented in America being dictated by the event that is Israel and what's happening in Gaza? Like, why is that the case? Why is it so influential in American politics? And
I mean, I think the genocide is part of it. I mean, I understand why it's the number one. For a while, it was the number one story. I mean, for Israel is, and America have this unique relationship, right? And Israel does have, because of Israel's relationship with America and AIPAC sort of influence on our politics. A lot of things that happen in Israel are big news, right? But then the war, which has turned into this proxy war with like Iran and Russia and China, of course it's the main story. I mean, I don't think that's like a conspiracy theory, honestly. And plus, there's like a fucking genocide happening that's supposed to never happen again, in my opinion. Allegedly, okay, guys?
I don't know, like, there's been a genocide happening, and I'm not saying, like, just Palestine. I'm telling you, since the war on terror happened, there have been millions of Muslims who have been killed around the world, and especially in the Arab world. And, there have been conflicts that have been brewing in this region, and there seems to be no end to this. And when we always look at these conflicts, we're seeing a Western hand. There's always a Western hand in these conflicts.
Okay, Pepe wants to come up, Buttercup. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah. And so...
Isn't Pepe like now? A bigot? Like, I don't know. Why should someone said he's like a white supremacist guy that got clipped a bunch of times?
Well, let's see what he has to say, because he's one of the Kahanas. So
is he?
I want to see why.
What's his background?
Why as a Zionist, you know,
I can't do another like anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist.
It's Pepe. He's not unreasonable. He just like he has no. He doesn't really
he's in the rooms with BB. Yeah.
Okay. What's up, Pepe? What's up?
What's up? So you're conflating Meir Kahane with Nazis?
No, I'm not. I'm talking when I talk. So I'm going to explain again. Meir Kahanists, as you know, as you may know, are the far right in Israel. They are the followers of Meir Kahane, who espouse violence and are kind of the root of all the violence that comes from Israeli society. But the reason I'm using the word Kahanist, Vincent, is because me and Amos, who runs the coexistence room, we use the word Kahanist tongue in cheek to describe Bibi Kapara and Harry Balzac and those sort of reflexive pro-Israel like extremists. But obviously they are not followers of Meir Kahane's. These are Americans, and the Kahane's movement is an Israeli movement. So we're talking about Israeli sort of reflexive, far-right, pro-Israel people who just attack anyone who disagrees with them.
But didn't Meir Kahane get his start in the United States? He started the the Jewish Defense League?
Yeah. So they're a fringy thing. I have no idea that
what was wrong with the Jewish Defense League? In other words, he was telling Jews not to be a bunch of fucking pussies and to stand up for themselves.
Okay. So you are a Kahanist. You're like a literal Kahanist.
No, I'm not a Jew. I'm not a but I do.
But you like their ideas.
He believes in the ideology.
Yes. Oh yeah, I think Israel would be a better place if people believed, and followed what he believed.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me clarify then. This room is not about people like you who actually espouse Meir Kahane's view. They're Bibi Kapara's room on Clubhouse, who fetishize Charlie Kirk, who we are arguing is a Christian supremacist who actually espouse views that are against Jewish interests. And so that's what we're arguing here.
Is that factual though?
Yes,
we presented some evidence, and I'm not saying it's factual. That's our opinion, and we're presenting this opinion and the evidence we have, and we gave them a chance to respond if they could respond civilly. If you have a different view, I'm open to hearing it.
Sure. I was raised Catholic, so we don't believe that there needs to be a state of Israel. Israel's the church, at least Catholic doctrine. We have our own covenant with God. It doesn't supersede the covenant that God has with Jews. However, we do not believe there has to be a Jewish state in which Jews have to be there warring with the world, and then the rapture is going to happen, and whatever stupid shit that these evangelicals believe. That's so foreign to me. But I'm a Zionist. I mean, they have a country, and just to be fair, it was a shithole. There was nothing there. It's a regional superpower.
Okay, I don't want to get into the history of Israel. I think the topic here, Cleto, and I am interested to hear your views as someone who identifies with the Kahanist ideology or thinks at least it's worthwhile. It serves the Jewish people, at very least, right? I am interested to hear what you think about the fact that Charlie Kirk, whether this sort of recent alliance, since Trump came in office, he sort of courted a lot of white supremacists and Proud Boys and white nationalist groups, and also courted the far-right pro-Israel right and Republican Jewish establishment. And as a result, they're sort of in bed together. And since then, we've seen a lot of alliances between sort of this like far-right, Christian right, white supremacist like personalities and the pro-Israel cause, and we're seeing sort of a lot of collaboration between these two used to be very polarized segments of society.
Sure. So as somebody who's been in more like dissident right-wing circles, a lot of people call it far right. It doesn't matter. Charlie Kirk has been the butt of jokes, including from people like myself. I'm not going to lie. I've always looked at him as kind of like a tool of the Republican Party. To basically win over young conservatives. Now, I think he's a very gifted individual in terms of his debate tactics. I couldn't do what he did, and most people couldn't. With that being said, I don't think that he was in bed with us. I think that we looked at him as kind of a, and this isn't a fault of his. He was doing his job. But
He was like a shill for the Israeli government, wasn't he? Like
No.
Or do you think he was an opportunist just trying to get clicks because this is like really good for the algorithm?
No. He's somebody. First of all, there was so much.
I am curious about how you characterize him as someone who's kind of studied him more than most of us.
Sure. So do I think he was a quote unquote Zionist shill? Yes. But do I think that he was? First of all, I think there's one thing you have to understand is that a lot of these Republicans that are especially evangelical Christians, Baptists, and so forth, they do believe that stuff. That is truly, authentically who they are. I'm not going to knock him for that. Now, I don't. When it comes to him, if you backtrack like 8 years, how this all started, they were. You know who the Groypers are, right? The Nick Fuentes, stands, the followers. Yeah, so in 2016, you would have him and Rob Smith. Rob Smith was a black conservative. He was a veteran, also homosexual. They would be on stage. The Groypers, what they would do is they would line up in the queue to ask questions, and they were very targeted towards Jews. They're targeted towards a lot of people. And of course, they're very, I don't even want to describe the Groypers. They're fucking retards. But they were always fucking with him. And what you've always gotten, I'm somebody who's like spoken a lot with the former leaders of the alt-right, like Jared Spencer. I talked with him quite a bit. When it comes to like quote unquote kosher conservatism, they were not on board with that shit. He was always considered like a normie conservacuck. And I'm somebody who's a Zionist. Like I support Israel. But he's always gotten a lot of shit. But
that's not
at the end of the day, I look at him.
I've already explained this to you a million times.
Well, yeah, okay, but hold on a second.
Zionism is that.
I just want to finish. I'll finish with this one. I just want to finish this one point. He's somebody who I think genuinely was. He likely did stand for principles that he actually believed. I've never seen anything racist. He never said anything racist. He never said anything anti-Semitic. And that's why he got bullied from the right. And then, yet at the same time, what's really ironic is that he's being persecuted as this fucking Nazi, this bigot, but he never did that fucking shit. That is what actually is pissing me off the most.
Can we read something? Can we read something to you? Let's read something directly from his words, okay? Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them, Kirk said on the show. The philosophical foundation of anti-whiteness has been largely financed by Jewish donors in this country. That's one thing.
Post the link. There's one thing Jews aren't going to deny this. There's no shortage of baggy left-wing Jews in the United States. Like, there are a dime a dozen. Like, we can agree on that.
I don't think he's going to agree it's anti-Semitic because his statements...
Zionist Jews are so loud, but there are a lot of liberal Jews. And people.
No, listen, Cleto, I don't think you're going to see it as anti-Semitic, the quotes we're going to give you, because he mainly demonizes left-wing Jews and progressive Jews, and in the way that the pro-Israel right demonizes left-wing Jews. And so I think because you consider the way you identify yourself, I think you'll probably think his views are accurate, and left-wing Jews are a threat to society in the way he describes.
Yeah, I would say, Jewish people...
And maybe contributing to their own demise or their own harm or whatever.
Sure, absolutely. I do think
so then I don't know, there's no point in debating it, really, because you kind of espouse the same...
No, I'm saying, I would say the difference is, like, at least you guys are a much smaller portion of the population. I would say Jews are very... I'm just going to say this is very taboo to I would say on average, a little bit smarter than white Gentiles. And
Here's
they
the
tend
eugenics kicking in.
to amazing.
But
But
why didn't he say? Why didn't
Well,
he?
hold
specify
on.
that?
He's a
Hold on.
judophile. It's fine. He's a philosemite.
Okay, yeah, Philo, amazing.
Wow.
I'm just going off of just like we can just look at the track record between white Gentiles and particular type of Jews, and they, one group is obviously very overrepresented in being successful. I mean,
There's like
why do
social
I have to fake it?
external things that contribute to that, though.
It doesn't matter
a
what
lot of image
contributed.
groups.
Sure, it doesn't matter what contributed to that. However, what matters is that they have an oversized contribution. It is what it is. I can't fucking control that. Now, when it comes to,
it must be eugenics.
I would say that when it comes
This is really going off the rails.
But I would say when it comes to left-wing Jews versus, like, let's say left-wing Gentiles, you're obviously going to have a little bit of an overrepresentation amongst the left-wing Jews, and and they are every bit as obnoxious as the left-wing Gentiles. I don't know how to say this. This is not even me like saying anything negative about Jews, or if anything, it's saying that they tend to be a little bit more. I mean, Buttercup, are you gonna say that they're not on average a little bit more successful than us? I mean, it's common fucking sense.
I mean, I'm Jewish, so
you guys are more. Yes, I do too. But you guys are on average. We're talking about
some
averages.
of them aren't on this app. The Kahanis we were referring to are the dumb Jews among us.
But on average,
small-minded and bad at math.
But on average, are Jews not a little bit more successful than white Gentiles? It's an obvious fucking answer. It's yes. It is resounding fucking yes.
So
You don't have to fucking deny it.
I don't want to get into this. This is like a eugenics debate, which I'm not really comfortable.
It's not a eugenics
Actually, I think
debate.
Palestinians are rising, to be honest. Everyone I know who grew up in like a refugee camp in the West Bank and clawed their way out is super, super successful and overeducated. So I don't know. I think
Some of them can be, just like in Kuwait.
It has to do with history and social context. There's a million things. Jews were forced into finance because they were forced to be money lenders. So of course they had to do finance.
No, I know all that. But even the Lebanese Christians, I would say, are very similar to Jews. Where like wherever they go in the world, they tend to be pretty successful. Sure, there can be context because of
these are external things that shape people.
Sure, that is fine, and that very well could be the case. I'm not even arguing that it's quote unquote genetic. I don't know if the Lebanese Christians are smarter than us.
Let's move on. What's the point? There's a point. What is the point you're trying to make?
My point is that you're like sitting here not wanting to admit that Jewish people, by and large, have been able to. I guess elevate the ladder and have some of the loudest microphones. They obviously have. Okay, so when I compare lefty Jews to lefty Gentiles, there's obviously a disproportionate amount of Jews that are going to be amongst the most obnoxious lefties. Ezra Klein. I actually listened to Ezra Klein. Like Ezra Klein's a good example. What is there? Pac-Man.
Yeah, but also
there's a
on
bunch
the
of
right.
Jews that are doing it.
But wait. Also on the right, you have loudmouth Jews that are very
yes.
vocal. Shapiro, right? You have
Shapiro. Yes, but I said they're kind of overrepresented. Generally,
more than the right.
No, I'd say both. I would say both. But I said that's kind of like okay. Are you making the argument?
What's the point you're trying to make here?
Is the argument that you're trying to make is that Jews just like fucking weasel their way into these positions and only platform each other?
No. There's many social and sociological reasons for why Jews are very, very active in politics and very active and very vocal.
Which ethnic group is the most active in politics in the United States?
No, it's not a fucking contest. Who gives a shit? What's your point?
Yeah. No, Jews are. Literally, Jews are.
Okay, but what's your point in the context of whether or not?
Because somebody was trying to sit here and like you guys are trying to make it sound like because some of the loudest leftists are Jewish. Somehow that's anti-Semitic. No, it's not. Okay. Like they're overrepresented on the left, like they are in the fucking right. Like I don't.
All right, thank you for sharing your view. Okay, fine. Does anyone else want to speak? Butch, you have any thoughts? Or this new guy with the blue hat? I don't know how to say your name because it's in another language.
What's the topic?
The topic is Charlie Kirk and whether or not he's a bigot.
Do you think Hamas would have spared raping? I don't know. You could be an ugly bitch, but do you think Hamas would have spared raping you or killing you?
Oh my
As
God.
someone who could
Where
have
did
been
that come
potentially,
from?
That was left
Jesus
field.
Christ.
as someone who could have been potentially one of the people on October 7th, I'll tell you that no, that we're not about that.
I think Hamas would tolerate Nora.
That's what Pepe does when he loses an argument.
Pepe thinks like we're
Why did it go into
Islamists,
rape?
we're not.
Like that was
That's
such
what
a
he does when
turn.
he
Jesus
loses an
Christ.
argument, and he's trying to
He's a
press
Gentile
it.
cunt.
We're Islamists, we're Muslims, we're not Christians like they went in Bosnia and they started raping the Muslims there. We're not like that. We don't do what Christians
Okay. Yeah, I don't. This was it was like a weird.
Yeah, his first instinct.
Yeah.
His first
Yes.
instinct is just to talk shit.
Tell me about you. Who are you? I don't know you.
But yeah. So just I was gonna add to the topic by saying like, yo, as a Muslim, like I don't support the killing of Charlie Kirk, and totally
I don't
against
either, of course
And
not.
even though this guy was someone who talked shit about Muslims, he talked shit about Islam quite often. I think even his most recent tweet, even he had a debate recently, just completely shitting on Muslims. No, I just I don't agree. With so just like I still the loss of a life is still like a loss of a life. So all life is precious type thing. But yeah, it's just so. And here's the thing, though. Here's another thing.
Way about Gaza. He didn't feel that way about what's happening in Gaza.
Yeah, I know. He just because he didn't feel like that, we don't have to, type thing. But I would say another thing is like when you look at the population of Muslims in America, it's only 1%. So why are
So yeah, why is he writing
guys like Cleto? Yeah, why are they even like what are they like so threatened about? Like,
They're
what,
obsessed, yeah.
I understand maybe. Yeah, I'd understand maybe Europeans, complain about Muslims or whatever, but like literally, why would as an American, what do you have to really stand on, So that's kind of like.
Maybe
And actually, white terrorists have caused way more harm to our country than Muslims overall. I mean, most terrorists in our country are homegrown.
Well,
They're
he'll
white
blame the left for that.
No, but they're right wing. They're mostly right. A lot of them are
Domestic,
right.
you mean domestic terrorists? White domestic
Yeah,
terrorists?
I mean, most mass murders and shootings and hate, fueled by hatred and hate crimes are fueled by white loner types, right? In America.
That Cleto guy ran out the room, man.
I think that's what the FBI said. He said
He doesn't want to get clipped again.
The FBI said the number one threat is not terrorism; it's white incels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I noticed something about that Pepe individual. Like this guy, he when it comes to Muslims, he's ready to attack Muslims and talk shit about them. But when it comes to Jews, he's very hesitant. I noticed that he doesn't he really watches his words. And he's very careful about what he says.
Yeah, it's the same thing Kirk did.
So,
it's the same thing a lot of these white supremacists do. They want to align themselves with allies over the sentiments of Islamophobia as well as anti-blackness for power or some semblance of power. And we see it on the macrocosm with Charles Kirk. We also see it on the microcosm with the Pepes, the BBs, the Harrys. So, as well as the Abbeys and the Pepes, they love each other. They go crazy for each other.
there's also
there was like a weird a men's rightsy incel vibe there with Pepe. He immediately went to whether I'm not hot enough to rape. Like that's a strange.
That was sick.
That was disgusting. He seemed reasonable, and then suddenly it sounded psychotic. That was very strange.
I hope John Kitover caught that one. Don't delete that, John.
That's Pepe. He's like the radio show guy, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess so.
Latino?
I don't know. He just said he's Catholic. Is he Latino?
Yeah, he's probably Latino. He's probably one of those no sabos.
Cauliflower, tell me about you. Where do you fall in this whole thing?
So I feel nothing for this person.
Charlie Kirk.
Who was shot. Yeah, I mean, it was really weird. I felt a little bit, like, I questioned myself briefly, like, is something wrong with me? Because I watched the video and I was eating my lunch, while this happened. And, like, I just left it on the Instagram loop. I was like, I just couldn't kind of stop watching it. It was really weird. I was like, am I a psychopath or what?
It looks like a movie. I mean, it doesn't look real.
Yeah, I tried to get myself to feel bad for the guy, but I just fucking can't.
I don't know. I feel bad for him, for his family. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to cause him pain. I'm almost traumatized just by the amount of gore we see on the news these days. You know?
Well, okay, look, we've been seeing all kinds of stuff happen to immigrants, to people in war, people in Gaza, people, and it's just kind of like when you see something like this, it's like, yeah, because, they've been doing it to other people, so, but I think my biggest concern is they're going to want their lick back.
One minute he's talking about gun control, and then he gets shot in the neck with a gun. I mean, you can't make this stuff.
Yeah, but he said, what did he say? It's worth it, or something like that.
Is it the gang violence? So he was defending gun violence, and then he died.
Somebody shot him. Yeah, the last words he ever said was gang violence. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
The guy says, "What do you think about the mass shootings?" He's, what about the gang violence? Bang, he's dead.
Well, you know.
You think it was a gang member?
Well, it's people like Charles Kirk that overblow statistics and overblow certain things in certain communities to push an agenda, right? So he's going to overblow gang violence, even though black on black crime is 12,000 people a year. And so that's way under, that's a point percentage of the actual African Americans, the 40 million that are in the United States. So this is not something that's plaguing us. This is 12,000 people a year, right? And this is something that we can work together on as Americans to quell over time. President Trump's doing it in his own way, which, I somewhat support, sending in troops. And it's proven to work in Washington, D.C., you know what I mean? Amongst other things, I think there's other things that we could do to cut that number down. But what these anti-black people do is they overblow the statistics. Like, this is just plaguing the black community, right? And they rely on how people view us in mainstream media to push that narrative as well. When white people overrepresent themselves in online pedophilia and child sex trafficking, and sex trafficking has become the number 2 illegal operation in the United States.
All right,
So-
this is like veering into anti-white, like, you know.
No. I'm saying that they overblow.
They're overrepresented. Like, let's not like smear anyone, generalize about anyone.
No, these are statistics. These are .gov statistics.
You're doing the same thing he's doing.
No, we're doing the same thing they accuse us.
No, but this is what I'm saying. If 12,000 people are
This is what Charlie Kirk said about us, that we smeared white
if
people.
12,000 people die from black on black crime a year, right? But if we go over to child trafficking, that affects 300,000 to 600,000 kids a year. So what I'm saying is they overblow these black statistics to push anti-black agendas, and Charlie Kirk has been doing that for the past few years, but he's been taking it to the max for the past week.
Yeah, the guy was a real pain in the neck.
What do you guys?
Oh my God.
What do you guys think triggered it?
Who do you think is recording my room? Is that John? Is that John?
Yeah, he literally has a room right now called Buttercup 2.0, calling Charlie Kirk and Jews Nazis.
Who's that? Pepe?
Stupid.
And what?
No, it's John Kitover, and it's in the house called Amir Terrorist Call FBI.
Oh my God.
That was like a fucking shit show.
Is it Amir's room?
No, this is John Kitover.
How does he juggle so many accounts at once? I don't get it.
They say he has 57 phones. He has 57 phones.
How? How does he get
57 accounts.
time? Who pays him? Like, how does he get money?
He's crazy. He's literally crazy.
But, guys, I have a question. Okay, first, well, maybe two questions. But first, what do you think was the straw that broke the camel's back for when it came to Charlie Kirk? And then number two is like, who do you guys think is next?
Oh, you mean what caused
Who
someone
do
to
you
shoot
guys
him?
think is next?
I mean, you think it's gonna stop here?
I don't think he caused his own death. First of all, no one deserves to get shot. But I don't believe in vigilante justice.
It was only a matter of time, honestly. I'm surprised, like, how far this guy got. Like, because I know
Do they have a suspect yet?
That's what I'm waiting on to pass any judgments.
That's what everybody's
No, I
waiting
don't
on.
think
Yeah.
so.
And they've been released already, so I don't know what's going on.
They had 2 suspects, I think, and they released both of them. So they don't know who did it.
Hmm.
Well, Utah has the most white people per capita. And then so if we go to white people, they do the most mass shootings per capita. So it's statistically conducive for it to happen in Utah.
Vincent, you're like obsessed with me. I don't even think I've had one conversation with this guy, and he's fucking obsessed with me. Is Vincent someone else? Does anyone know who Vincent is?
He's like this black convert. He's now Jewish now. I don't know what's up with him. But he's a Zionist, obviously, because I don't know.
Vincent, I think you might have a wrong impression of me. I engage with Jews because they're my people, and I think I want to have a dialogue with them, okay? I'm not trying to defame you or anybody. I just feel that, I have a different opinion about Gaza and the Israel-Palestine conflict, and I feel the need to vent my frustration and engage with Jewish people who have a different view. That's all, okay?
He's a chat warrior. He does this in every room. Like, just, he never comes up. You never hear his voice. You never hear his intellect. He's just a chat warrior.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Do I need to push the limit? I'll push the limit on this guy. Like, at the end of the day, the left is an alliance. So if you've been in American university, yeah, you understand. Yes, exactly. So we are an alliance, and so this guy literally went against Islam, advocated for pretty much like destroying us and destroying our ideology and outlawing us, and so he wasn't subtle, at least when it came down to Islam and Muslims. deport all Muslims anyways. So, from that perspective, yeah, fuck him, obviously. So I don't give a crap about him. Like, from, he put himself against Islam and Muslims for some sort of like global agenda and a crusader agenda, and he paid the price. So I don't know. Just in case it might be one of us. I don't know. It could be. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. But maybe. Could be one of us. But like, so before, if it turns out to be one of us, like he there's a weight behind your words, so words do matter. And, if you're going to declare yourself an open threat, like, sure, is it against the law? Absolutely. It's illegal. No one should go against anybody. You're going to get persecuted.
Against murder in this room, just to be clear, we're against murder. We just think it's sad that pro-Israel Jews align themselves with this Nazi.
Yeah, it shouldn't happen like that.
It's emblematic of a larger problem, which is that right-wing Jews, because these supremacist right-wing characters vilify and demonize the left-wing and especially left-wing Jews, and the right-wing, the Kahanists, which are the sort of pro-Israel right, they also demonize left-wing Jews in the same way, in this vitriolic, horrific way. And also, and then Charlie Kirk did. So we have Nazis and right-wing establishment and Kahanists on this app, which again is not referring to literal Kahanists. It's the Bibi Kapara and company and the folks that are in the audience. All vilify people in my community, people like me, left-wing Jews, people who are for equal rights, people who, espouse mainstream Jewish liberal ideals. And they vilify us, they make us seem like we're the root of all evil. They call me names on this app every single day. And they're just falling into the same trap of like hatred and exclusion and bigotry.
Buttercup, you always know the right is always going to start going into like, they're going to attack identity, and they're always going to, if you're black, they're going to attack you, and they're going to bring up your demographics. If you're white, they're going to do this. If you're Jewish, they're going to do. If you're Middle Eastern, they're going to do this. So you know how they do it. Like, this is just the general way of the right in America. They come after you. They usually tackle your race or your identity, and they attack that.
Yeah.
So
I guess to me it's personal because I feel like my people have like bought in this hateful ideology, hook, line, and sinker. They've really, really embraced Charlie Kirk. Israelis especially that I'm friendly with would send me his clips not knowing the context at all. They only know him for his pro-Israel sort of rants. And they don't know what he stands for. And it really just breaks my heart that he's like torn my community apart, that he's hijacked like half of my community, and they don't know that they're aligning themselves with people who espouse hateful things that ultimately will come for them one day,
Can I ask a question, Buttercup?
Yeah, of course.
If you don't mind.
Of course.
What's the difference between a left-wing Jew and a right-wing Jew? I thought we were all right-wing. We're the God's chosen people.
Are you Jewish?
Chosen people. Of course I'm Jewish.
And you think we're all right-wing? How do you live in America?
How could you be on the left wing and have other religions and other people, but be under the...
Is this a real person? God? Do you guys know this guy?
I mean, so far he said some... Clearly he's witty.
So, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but I understand that because of Israel and people and Jews, their identities are linked with Israel. They vote. They veer to the right because they think that Republican Party better represents Israel's interests.
Donald Trump loves us. Yes, we should.
Israel, you mean? Trump. He doesn't love us. He loves Israel. I mean, he doesn't love Israel even. He just is good at pandering to Jews and making them think that he's like Israel's best friend, right?
He's doing a good job.
I don't know. It's not looking very good for anybody over there. Just saying, a lot of people are dying. Kids are dying.
Netanyahu just bombed Iran. Thank you.
Who is this guy? Is this a real person? This is not a real person.
I don't know who that might be Norm.
What am I dealing
That
with?
might be Norm's
And
brother.
there's like this over
No, that's not
Sounds like Norm.
Who the fuck is this guy?
Norm,
He's
is that
terrible.
We had another troll on here that was making it with the same exact voice. I moved them down too, but they had another. It was like Buttercup, but like Butch Buttercup.
I'm loving the Buttercup.
You got me for
PTRs.
like a second.
I'm loving the Buttercup PTRs they got going on.
But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Angry.
oh yeah, those guys.
That's it's cute.
Wait.
It's like.
Somebody was talking about Hassan Piker earlier. The Korean person, the person with the Korean name. They're saying that Hassan Piker actually witnessed this live, watched it live. Yeah, 'cause, he's like a street. Do you guys know who Hassan Piker is?
Yeah, of course. I love that song.
Okay.
But I don't think it should happen like this. We're in America, free speech. The guy offered himself to be debated. You know what I mean? College to college.
Yeah.
I don't. It could have been a thing where he like only showed the debates that he won. Who knows? How he marketed
Oh
himself.
yeah. I mean,
definitely.
I found.
But what I'm saying is that, this is not good for our democracy. It's not good for our politics. I'm a kind of person where I feel like I can defeat anyone intellectually. And he offered himself to intellectually spar with many people. Like, that was his whole brand.
I mean, he has his ass handed to him quite a few times.
Yeah, so I feel like to resort to...
But they don't promote those clips, right?
Yeah. I feel like to resort to it, it's kind of the coward's way. Even if I feel like he's anti-black, even if I feel like he's...
Every clip I've seen, he didn't really engage on the issues. He was just snarky. He was like a Norm character,
I just feel like, we could have defeated him intellectually. We could have defeated him in other ways. And played chess
Of
with
course.
him.
No, we should never endorse violence.
No. I've already discussed with Pepe a lot. Like, if you break him, if you break him down to the ideals, like if you go, you'll see that he will align with the ideals. So if
We're talking about Pepe or
Pepe is like a leftist in ideals, but like he's just like someone who is a
I was
wasp
talking about
also.
Kirk.
He's a
I was
left.
talking about
I
Kirk.
thought you were talking about Kirk.
I was talking about Kirk, but maybe he's talking about Pepe.
Oh, Kirk is
Pepe
a wasp. Like
seems like he broke at some point in this conversation.
They're all wasps. It's just like white guys who are usually on the right are usually wasps, and at different degrees will advocate the extremism. The extremists will advocate for like a wasp state, and you'll see those are the ones who are obsessed with like Jews and Zionists. So those kind of wasps who are practically like Nazis at that point.
They're all mad at the mainstream media right now. They feel like they're not getting any love from the mainstream media. They feel everything is promoting like interracial marriages. They feel like they're being like whited out. They feel like their racial stock amongst the world is dwindling. They're so used to having this semblance of white power that they're starting to get worried. They're mad at like the internet and TikTok, which is why they're trying to ban it. They're mad that like all this BIPOC indigenous sovereignty and remembrance is happening amongst the people, and they are they're scrambling right now. They're scrambling.
Yeah, they're scrambling because there's a reason they are scrambling, because the demographics are gonna flip in America. Like we're talking, you gotta be honest. People, the right and the left in America, they are represented based on like racial lines. There's a racial correlation to the left and the right in America. And if one demographic grows, the left also grows. we're reaching a tipping point.
Can
Like
I ask
Latinos are going to be the majority demographic by 2070, and so that's why that could explain a lot of the new like ICE policies.
So Kirk,
Can I ask Ustad real quick? Ustad, what were you saying about Hassan Piker earlier? Or we can table it. I just wanted to let him know that I wanted to ask, about Hassan Piker. But yeah, Othello, if you want to keep going.
I just want
Let's change the topic. Let's talk about Hassan Piker. What about him?
Yeah, so apparently he was watching the shooting live. Like he didn't know it was going to happen. He was just watching it live, and he had obviously a horrific reaction to it. And he said like he was urging his followers not to make fun of the shooting or the death of Charlie Kirk, because he said, this is terrible and stuff like that. And he also felt like that he might be next.
Did you see this video? Yeah, because they're gonna want their Did you see the video of Hassan reacting?
No. It was. I was watching Kyle from Secular Talk, and he was talking about it. So, but I think the video is out there. It's pretty. It's not shouldn't be hard to find, but yeah.
Piker isn't stupid. He's not gonna go in the middle of a university and set himself up. Like he would have probably gotten shot long before Kirk did. Honestly,
Kirk, like I said, Kirk represented their white knight. He was the one that's supposed to go to the universities and galvanize the youth and fight and push back on leftist ideology that seemed to be spreading faster in these institutions of higher education. Why? Because they're learning the truth of the world.
Not only that.
Not really. They're losing, dude.
His purpose is also to thwart the young people or youth from accepting the ideology of Nick Fuentes. Like Nick Fuentes is like somebody who's rising, becoming extremely popular among among young people.
Well, also like the leftist ideologies, right? Like white people are seeing their children radicalize and support pro-Palestinian agendas in record numbers right now, similar to when the Black Panthers linked up with the white kids at the universities and became anti-war during that time. And we all know that once that happened, that's when the U.S. government started going after the Black Panthers and locked them up until this very day. I think a Black Panther just got out like 6 months ago. So they're really worried. They're scrambling. And they needed people like Kirk to go and, like I said, galvanize the youth, get them back on board with conservative agendas, right-wing agendas, and he was their white knight.
Yeah. One interesting thing about Kirk is that...
I'm sorry, but someone was kind enough to post in the chat, Free Palestine posted in the chat, the actual video of him saying the anti-Semitic stuff that we're trying to demonstrate, he said. Is it okay if I play it real quick?
Yes.
Okay. So here's...
They went all Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. Now, I don't like generalizations. Not every Jewish person believes that. But it is true, the Anti-Defamation League was part and parcel with Black Lives Matter. It is true that some of the largest financiers of left-wing anti-white causes have been Jewish Americans. They went all in on woke, and it wasn't just ADL. It was some of the top Jewish organizations in the country that have done that. In fact, we have seen this with the recent retreat of Jewish donations that are no longer going to be administered to colleges, right? Mark Rowan, Leon Cobham. Can we get that full list? Very powerful. The part of it, so that's totally true. And by the way, Tucker Carlson reinforces this. So I'm going to it was quite a day on the internet. Tucker Carlson was interviewing Candace Owens. We have Candace Owens coming up next hour. And Tucker Carlson mentions that Jewish Americans have primarily been financing cultural Marxist ideas. We said this, by the way, last week, and people came after us.
We were on top of it.
We actually said it in a different way. We said, I'm glad that Jewish Americans are reconsidering their financing of cultural Marxism. And people misunderstood it intentionally and slandered us as being anti-Semites. But listen to this. Tucker Carlson is completely correct by saying this. that the philosophical foundation of anti-whiteness has been largely financed by Jewish donors in the country. Jewish community.
All right, so that's the clip of him blaming Jews for Marxism, blaming Jews for financing, lefty causes, and just sort of like drawing this like vast conspiracy of
further putting you all in danger. Yeah, I think that's what that's doing as well.
He's generalizing. Listen, I'm not saying there aren't influential Jews who are moneyed. There's George Soros who have influence and money, but there's to attribute that much power. Well, here's another one.
To do, and Jewish donors, they have a lot of explaining to do, a lot of decoupling to do, because Jewish donors have been the number one funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies, cultural institutions, and nonprofits. This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened? And it's not just the colleges. It's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it. It's like, time for you guys to wake up and say no more. Draw a line in the sand. I don't care if you hate me.
Okay. So I think that's pretty explicit. These are like, if you're not like trained in recognizing anti-Semitic tropes, this is the classic anti-Semitic tropes about moneyed Jews controlling everything and having too much power and driving political trends.
I don't think he was speaking I think he was speaking as an ally. Like he was
as an ally to the right-wing Jews, but he was demonizing the left-wing Jews, which is the majority of Jews in America. So it's pretty dangerous.
It sounded like he was speaking to all Jews and he was giving them advice. He was like, you guys need to stop, or something like that,
Right. I think he was saying stop the left-wing powerful Jews, right? Like influential left-wing Jews.
Well, he never said left or right wing. That's his problem. That's the issue.
He said the donors. He kept talking about the donors, and whenever people talk about George Soros, yes, he's an influential left-wing Jew, but like people usually, he's a stand-in for like Jewish influence, Jewish money, Jewish power.
I think which is a usual talking point, is that you are seeing behind a lot of the organizations that are for inclusion and minority advocate like organizations, that you will usually see big Jewish sponsors of, if not themselves, being run by liberal Jews. So that's usually what it is, and that he sees these inclusion and minority advocate organizations or migration or immigrant organizations as anti-white organizations. That's just how he sees it.
I think HASC is one of them. HASC was like a Jewish, it was like a refugee, it supports immigrants basically. And it's when they blame the white replacement theory people blame on Jews. They say, because they support immigrants, they're trying to replace us, and that's why Jews are responsible for this white replacement or whatever.
How do they justify this? Because they use Zionism. So you're like, all you Jews, you're advocates of Zionism, right? So it's like, if Zionism, you're preserving. You're preserving a Jewish ethno-state by controlling, the demographics in the region. So why? So we have legitimacy here. So, what we're advocating for has legitimacy. So the right in America is getting away with advocating for these policies and like what you're seeing today with ICE, because they can like corner Jews in America with Zionism.
Right. I mean, they're trying to sort of weaponize Zionism. They're like, if you're a true Zionist, you won't join these lefty causes. Basically, they're trying to manipulate.
Exactly.
They're basically saying, like Trump has said it too. He's basically saying like he's made statements like, Jews who don't support Israel, Jews who don't support him, basically are endangering themselves. Anyone who doesn't support Trump is endangering themselves. They're not looking out for themselves because they don't support. That means they don't support Israel by proxy. And this is like a talking point on the far right, basically.
Yeah. Actually, I would say it's one of their main angles.
And it's interesting. People accuse Jews of like being too influential. I think Jews are being influenced and exploited by this sort of like the divisive political forces, right? They're being manipulated and hijacked by these like far right people who say, who are exploiting their loyalty to Israel and their fealty to the Israeli government and putting them in bed with people who actually hate them, I don't know.
There can't be the problem, and I'll tell you, especially with the leftist Jews, like it's too late in the game for you to be caught like and frozen like a deer in front of headlights when someone puts you in when someone on the right asks you about Zionism. Your position should be very clear. We don't need to be educating you on what Zionism is. We don't need to be educating you on what's going on in Palestine or the Greater Project or the War on Terror. Like, none of this. It's too late in the game for you as someone on the left to not be aware of this and aware of what's going on when it comes down to this conflict. And our greater doings as America and our foreign policy in the wars since 9/11, even before, so we gotta be clear, and as a generation, there is no reason for ignorance. We have social media; everything's accessible. So you can't be on the left and be ignorant at this point. Your position should be clear. What you advocate for should be clear.
Yeah.
And that's a problem with a lot of leftist Jews. Like, the right comes in, blah, Israel, and then they're like, yeah. That's not going to work.
Listen, I think a lot of Jews are conflicted about Israel, and I don't like it's a tough thing, right? Like, I don't know if my positions are pure, and we're always like put on this purity test. Like, are you anti-Israel enough to like hang with us liberals, And the fact is, like, I think I don't know if I've discussed it with you, but I've talked to in Amir's room about it. Is our feelings are complicated, Like, a lot of American Jews are especially those who have Eastern European or European ancestry, are just here by an accident of fate. Like, we could have ended up in Israel because we were all refugees at one point, And so for many of us, even if we're harsh critics of the Israeli government, and even if we see what's happening there as a genocide, it's really, really hard to. I think we need to.
I'm with you. What happened? Let's say 1947, 1948, establishment of the Jewish state. It happened.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It was bad, but circumstances, desperate circumstances. Let's move on. But the thing is, today, do we want to continue in the same mindset, or do we understand that those were circumstances and they were bad circumstances, and we should not be advocating for those circumstances? That's where we're at today.
I mean, personally, I've moved in a direction that makes some Jewish people uncomfortable, clearly, especially on this app. But like, but there's also like there has been movement. I think there's a young generation that is really disillusioned by the sort of the narratives we've been fed. I can only speak for American Jews. The Israeli Jews have a very different experience, but like a lot of us who were raised Zionist grew up and met Palestinians, usually in college, and heard the other side of the story, and just were extremely disillusioned by some of these talking points that were really shallow and thoroughly unconvincing and just not coherent. And so, like, anyone who's like intelligent and can think for themselves feels lied to. They feel like they lied to us. And so there's just like a real disillusionment, I think, in my generation. But I think it's hard because we have, I love people who are Zionists, who have views that I even find abhorrent, and it's very hard for me to talk to them about this topic because they're in my family and I don't want to fight with them. And I think that's where the conflict is. And so it's like, it's hard when people on the left kind of these purity tests, these litmus tests, if we're liberal enough, if we meet the requirements. Like, I feel like I get more respect in Amir's room, but they too also test to make sure I'm anti-Zionist in the right ways, you know? And it's fine, and I'm fine with it. I can handle it, but like, you know, it's a tough time right now. It's traumatic. I understand.
We need the leftist mindset to be hardwired in you, and for us to make sure it's hardwired is to get that clear confession out of you. So otherwise,
but does that identify using the G word? Is that
no. This is not necessarily even about like Palestine. It's about the principle, the ideal. Like, we don't believe in ethno states. We believe that if there is any sort of diversity of demographics in any place, everybody should have equal rights. And you know, whether that's in Israel,
not every pro-Palestine person believes that. Some people do believe in an ethno state, but they think it should be a Palestinian state. Some people do want to be Jews.
Palestine is a nationality. It's a national identity.
No, but they do want Jewish people to leave. Like, there are people who feel that strongly. They're not a monolith, the pro-Palestinian.
I'm talking about American Palestinians. I'm talking about like the left in America, not like immigrants or people who are just showing up on the scene who are still
I don't think the left in America is a monolith either, and this is something the pro-Israel people try to paint them as, is this like virulently anti-Semitic, monolith, like hateful people. I think there's like a wide range of people on the left who have different views, and we've created a big tent, and I think it's really powerful, and I don't like that like Jewish people on the left are always put through these like purity tests, when like the fact is we're fractured, and we need to unite under the
liberal Jews,
as opposed to what, lefty Jews.
Like if you're a liberal, you're then across the line, because you know the left here in America reflects on the history of like persecuted minorities and persecuted people around the world, like imperialism. So being a leftist is being anti-imperial. So you know, in that sense, imperial capitalism. So there's a greater struggle.
Let's get to the point. What is the specific thing you have with Jews that are allies on the left? What is the specific
that your position should be clear, just as we would condemn what the imperialism has done in Latin America.
Are you talking to me specifically? Is my position not clear to you?
And I know El Normo will know this reference.
In general.
You guys might know it if you
know your positions.
But El Normo, you remember.
So you're saying Jews in general are not clear about their positions when they
the leftist Jews,
I forgot the name.
liberals, like it's too late in the game.
That was about a serial killer who was like a tranny weirdo guy.
So there is something called like liberal Zionism, which I think like smart people in the West have sort of poked holes in how absurd it is, right? There's huge contradictions in it. Fundamentally, they're in conflict, being a Zionist and being a liberal. There's tension between these things. And so the people who are always trying to thread the needle start to come up with these like really absurd logical conclusions, right? But I don't think that's the majority of lefty Jews in America. Like, I think liberal Jews in America, for the most part, see what's happening, that occupation is wrong and criminal and something that needs to end, and it's not sustainable for Jewish safety or for Palestinian safety, while still having empathy for the Israeli people and the Jewish people, right? And I think, I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but I think maybe you're talking about liberal Zionists, which are a certain segment of the pro-Israel Jewish community, right? Which are, they think they're moderates. I'm saying liberal Zionist Jews. It's like a contingent of Jews that they identify as liberal, and they think it's compatible with their Zionism, with their pro-Israel views. No. This is an American phenomenon. Maybe you're not familiar with it, but like my family, they're liberals, but they also are Zionists, right?
Okay, yeah. Those are the ones that are being call
if you
down.
had a
So
serial
those
killer
people
with a
are the ones
something
that
IQ,
can you
whatever
truly
IQ
be a
IQ.
leftist?
No, they
in
can't,
America?
and that's
You
why
can't.
they're
Warlord,
ending up
somebody that will
twisting
fucking,
themselves into
you know what I'm
knots,
saying?
trying
So
to make it all
Game
fit
of
together.
Thrones type.
So these are the ones that people like Charlie Kirk have hijacked. So he rattles them around whenever he wants to make a talking point that might seem like controversial. So he pulls out the Jewish rattling stick. So every time he says something controversial that might seem like white supremacy, like he'll just pull that stick out. That's what Charlie Kirk does.
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard that. I don't know where I heard that name from.
There was another guy.
There's a
You
novel
guys know
about
that
him
one
by George Carl Leesman,
Robert something?
a French novelist, but Gilles
Now it's
Leray,
like
that
he
motherfucker
got
was
indicted or
crazy,
something.
and he was really medieval because he was looking for like
You guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
like the Fountain of Youth or some shit like
Yeah,
that.
so
Like
there's another
he
guy
was
on
going
the
wild.
right.
Say hell normal.
Think about it, right? Like think about like
Notorious.
some of the like
He was
great,
calling down
like normal
leftist
people, you know,
Jews.
and like imagine
He
if
said-
they were in
He
like
said leftist Jews
like-
are the biggest enemy to
if they had actual
Israel.
use cases for him.
Something
Like
like
he
that.
probably would have been a great
I'm gonna look for
warlord
it.
if he wasn't such a sicko.
They
He
are.
was
They
a
are,
warlord.
They
And
are.
then I'm talking like Kipper or something.
Jews
Like,
have always been the
well,
biggest
6
opponents
foot,
of
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Like, Benny, I'm gonna say the same thing I said to Mikhail. Like, I understand that
well, if you look
Charlie
into
Kirk's
him, you'll see what he got
conspiracy
away
theories
with.
about
you
Jews
know,
are very
and
alluring
he was
to
a part
you,
of the
but don't
military
get
at
sucked
the
into
time.
it
He was a
because
Marquis.
that's not the conversation here,
But
okay?
he
I
went off.
agree
He was
with
trying to
that.
find like.
I actually want to touch on something that you
Wait,
said.
who was
So I do agree with you that there are Palestinians that want to create a Palestine.
Yeah, that's who Theophrastus is talking about.
And there are Palestinian people that want to create an Islam.
It was a big, goofy
This is why the anti-Israel
Oh yeah, that's the same dude. He's
coalition
still
is so
alive.
broad and so
He's like
diverse.
78.
Because even amongst just the Palestinian portion of it, there are
It's in
differences.
that theory.
The people who
What's it
want to
called?
create a secular
Mind
Palestinian state are in direct conflict.
Y'all hear what I said? He's still alive.
Hamas versus Fatah.
Is he
Actually,
free
Israel
or is he
died
alive?
on that.
No, he locked up.
I never know. Keep him alive.
And then that's not even
How
getting
many
into the American.
times? How many times did they? How many times? How many people did he kill?
But that does
He started
exist.
killing girls, bro. He started.
No, but that does exist. Don't deny that.
Women.
I know you're firmly on the Islamic portion of this. I get that.
Oh,
There you
yeah,
go.
but you're
There you go.
I don't know what in their brain just said, hey, since we're free,
No, but I know that this is your opinion. We've had many conversations about this, right? It's not a fallacy.
Your opinion. Like, I don't think you. I think
killed his
you
mom
always.
at the end when he killed his mom.
I never saw her.
Anyway, not
Anyway.
like this. Yeah, just
That's not even to get into Anyway, this does exist in Palestine and amongst Palestinian people. There is a conflict between these two different
That's like active.
of the anti-Israel. That's not even to get into the American component of the anti-Israel coalition, right? So there are different kinds of people in America, right? Like right-wing anti-Semites, KKK, white Catholics, along with I don't know, gays for Palestine, right? So there's a broad coalition of people that are generally anti-Israel, and they don't agree on a lot of things. Right? So this is why I think, personally, I don't think that Americans in general should be pro-Palestine. I think they should just be isolation. I think they should just concede that we shouldn't have any interest in general.
Make point.
Sorry?
So just cross the box, basically. Give them bombs, that's not being isolationist.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Generally, I don't know if this does make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's just isolationism is probably
let them kill each other.
let them do whatever they want to each other, just stay out of it. And I think that's the best position to take.
I want to get a Zionist here. Dan, you seem to have, you said you don't don't want to demonize me. So come up here. Let's hear from you. I want to hear an alternative view of a guy that's not going to shout me down and talk to me. Which clip?
You a film director? Yes.
Oh, the one with Megan Kelly?
Film and television.
No, that's the same. I was born in Jerusalem, from USSR, so they're expelling real socialism. My question is to you is this: what do you think about foreign aid to Israel? Is it a strategic partnership?
Israel is a partner of the United States. But the people in Israel got to understand something. The number one enemy to the people in Israel are American Jews that do not support Israel and do not support MAGA. Okay, MAGA, the evangelical Christians and the traditional Catholics in this country have Israel's back. They have the Jews back. The biggest single enemy to the Jewish people are not the Islamic supremacists. The biggest enemy you have is inside the wire. Progressive Jewish billionaires that are funding all this stuff. They are the number one enemy, and the people in Israel have to set that right. Because MAGA has your back, traditional Catholics have your back, and evangelical Christians have your back. We will always have the back of Israel. But I gotta tell you, you have an enemy inside the wire. Where you from?
That's
Oh
why
yeah,
we
you're
have
right. It was Steve Bannon that put it
decreasing
in
like
you.
active serial killers. It's not like the profile.
The thing is, as you can see at the end of the clip,
No, it was Trump. I said it was Trump. It was
I also have this is something I want.
Yeah. But like, I think
I would say
Jewish
this is
people
the
recognize it as anti-Semitic anyway.
I don't speak for other countries. I don't know if they exist in other countries to the frequency.
Yeah. I'm your friend, and that's why I'm looking out for you by vilifying all the people who disagree with me, who are Jews. Like he's not even vilifying liberals. He's demonizing specifically liberal Jews, and it's interesting. The things that they say are the same thing that Bibi Gaffar and his roommate Aleph in the audience. The same things they say about me is what these anti-Semites say about liberal
You
Jews.
have a high level of serial killers, and you have a high level of violence in general in America, like as opposed to maybe like Western European countries where
Progressive rate of the me and you both accept that it's a hypocrisy.
it's like really high for a Western developed nation in America.
George Soros a Zionist? Does he give to Zionist causes?
Everything you can do, and
He's a Zionist.
Britain or France to say
Let me look it up. I don't know. I don't know if he gives to some.
it has a lot to do
I don't know that he gives to Zionist causes. He gives to other.
I don't know whether he gives to Zionist causes or not, but he's a Zionist.
whether it's becoming a playboy or a
Gary is not a Zionist and is known for criticizing the Israeli government and its policies. Why did you assume that? His opposition to certain Israeli policies has led to criticism from pro-Israel groups and accusations of anti-Zionism from figures like Antage Dershowitz. He has been the target of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, often complaining of support for anti-Semitic causes with anti-Semitic tropes. So,
I don't believe
provide evidence.
I don't believe he
Provide evidence. You think there could be a prominent Jew that he's a Zionist. That's not what they're to say. Local Jews because they're very demonized by the people on by the Kahana Teams group and by the right-wing Jewish establishment and by Kirk and by Steve Bannon and by Donald Trump. He's all been demonized by these right-wingers. And that includes George Soros is actually precisely who Kirk is talking about when he said donors. That's who he's talking about.
Actually, if anything, George Soros actually
George Soros is a huge progressive and Jews, right-wing Jews hate him.
Someone had to do it.
It's the opposite of the Adelstein. What's her name? Adelstein. She's like the nemesis, yeah. Because she donates to the pro-Israel folks. I think you're confusing the two.
I went to the political misogynist, discussing person, discussing beliefs. It's interesting you're saying this because he's precisely, when I hear him say, donors, Jewish donors, conspiracy theorists, philanthropists, he's literally talking about George Soros, he's the only guy. So he makes it seem like this vast conspiracy of like liberal, powerful, influential Jewish billionaires, it's literally just George Soros. And that's the crazy thing. Like he's making it seem like, we control everything. It's one fucking guy. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's a
capable.
That's what I'm saying.
That's pretty sweet. I think too intrusive on one's lives. Like you did something too sweet. With too.
I was wondering if he was.
We don't gotta worry about
Israel.
invaders. You don't worry about like you're in a very comfortable place in America.
But he is, which is like
even if you don't like a certain demographic, you can move to fucking Utah.
You just assume like I don't know, maybe it's a fault in me, like maybe I'm just like I mean the last leftist Jew like I felt was Jon Stewart. Then Jon Stewart disappeared and I kind of like lost hope, and then he resurfaced, but just like kind of
exactly.
I think the last leftist Jew, most Jews in America are leftists. I think you don't have
like a public figure, that is an American like conscious. Like Jon Stewart was, I felt like that, and he's back
He's still
now.
around. He's in the.
He's finally back. He's finally back.
He's interviewing Palestinians on his podcast. He's like doing good work. I think he's helping us.
It has to be like political collapse plus economic collapse.
When you see like Jews or American Jews in politics, like they're always pretty bad. They're either on the right or like with something like
Bernie
Biden.
Sanders is a prominent pro-Palestinian Jew.
Bernie Sanders is a Zionist.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, but he's a Zionist in the way I'm a Zionist, and he likes Jews and wants.
He wants there to be a Jewish state.
Yeah.
Hopefully never.
That's why I thought Soros was most likely
these mechanisms to use turning point USA's to resettle societies and these memes.
I would call Bernie Sanders like a super Zionist, though. He's like, he uses like very, very high.
Look, he's critical of the state of Israel, especially.
And he doesn't sugarcoat it at all. He's calling for boycotts, which most people smear him as an anti-Semite for calling for boycotts and for sanctions.
Yeah, but he still believes that Israel has a right.
That's the thing. So that's the purity test I'm talking about. There are people who I have like this radical idea of a binational state that no one's ever really floated or fleshed it out. That everyone thinks is fucking nuts, right? I can't expect everything.
The idea of, hold on. The idea of a binational state is not really new.
Yeah, but we've gone farthest with the two-state solution, right? And so people, when they hear binational state, they're like, "What? They're gonna kill us?" You know, both sides say they're gonna kill us, and so it's considered kind of a kumbaya radical idea that no one's really fleshed out very well. So yeah, I have this idea, but I'm not the mainstream, even among Jews who are critical of Israel and Palestine. I know, but I'm saying
the reason, Buttercup, the reason is America has on paper been a proponent of a two-state solution, along with Israel.
100%.
Right? So, and even within Israel, the leftists within Israel, like labor parties, like Zafradin, Israel, back in the 90s and 80s, they were also defending their solution. Amongst the Palestinians, they were also hey, it's a
and I don't know.
he was more inclined towards eventually being
I think you probably just need to
not exactly, no. They signed Oslo, no, not exactly adamantly opposed to it.
Question. Mikhail and Benny Adam, is being for a two-state solution being a Zionist because you support the state of Israel?
because of our digital technology.
Not necessarily.
So I think Bernie Sanders supports a two-state solution, like most progressive liberal Jews. That's what most.
No. Hold on. Willing to accept, like Yasser Arafat was obviously in support of a two-state solution. Does that make him a Zionist? No, because he does not believe that Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state. He just accepts it as a reality on the ground.
Right.
To be a Zionist is to believe that, someone that the state of Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state. Like, this is fundamental.
A two-state solution means there's a Jewish state besides a Palestinian state. That's what a two-state solution is. That they get
Right,
to
but that's but whether you approach it from a line of, this is a reality that we have to accept from on the ground realities, or that this is fundamental and like an inalienable right of Jewish people.
So by
It's not the same thing.
discrimination,
It's not the same thing.
that's the kind of Zionist that Bernie Sanders is. He believes in a two-state solution.
I don't don't know on what basis he believes that Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state.
Zionist, and that's irredeemable.
I'm pretty sure he has said it before.
That Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish
Yes,
state,
yes.
as a two-state solution. That doesn't mean to the exclusion of Palestinians. That doesn't mean to the exclusion.
I never said to the exclusion of Palestinians.
Any two-state solution.
He's never been pressed. He's never been pressed on Zionism. Bernie Sanders
Yeah, he
has
has.
always, he's a getaway artist. He's literally a getaway artist.
Alright, guys.
That's what pisses me off about this whole.
No, I'm pretty sure Bernie Sanders has explicitly said that.
They just ain't gonna compare right.
He hasn't been hard pressed on Zionism as in like what does it actually mean? Like why is a Jewish state and how do you maintain a Jewish state? So he hasn't been hard pressed on.
The mainstream view for progressives who support Palestinian rights is a two-state solution. That's mainstream, widespread view. Okay, that's what he believes. Whether you label him a Zionist or not a Zionist or an anti-Zionist is irrelevant. What he believes is the same thing that Arafat believed. Okay,
No,
so there should be two states beside each other.
No. So here, I have a direct quote. Hold on. I have a direct quote from Bernie Sanders. He said,
That
"Do I
he
think?"
opposes a Palestinian state. He never said that. I
No,
swear.
hold on. A direct quote from him. Do I think Israel has a right to exist? Absolutely. Right? So I don't think Yasser Arafat would ever say that Israel has a right to exist. He would willingly accept that Israel does exist, and that's a reality on the ground. I can't change that, but do they have a right to exist?
It does exist.
There's a difference.
Who cares? You're doing the same dumb litmus test that pro-Israels do, right? That the Zionists do. Does it have a right to exist? It's a red herring. It doesn't matter. It's a way to trick people. It's to trap people, to try to get them to pick a side. It doesn't mean anything. Who cares? No one has a right to exist, right? People just exist. It's not a real question. It's a fake question that you're kind of falling into, the same trap.
Then why do they say it?
Because they try to get people and say, ha, you're an anti-Semite because you think people don't have a right to exist. Everyone in the world has a right to exist. No one does or doesn't have a right to exist. Things exist. So I think we are getting stuck in the same linguistic, rhetorical trap that doesn't mean anything. There's no substance behind that question. It's a trap that Zionists use to call people anti-Semites, and you're using the same thing to call him a Zionist. It's not a real thing. Zionism doesn't mean anything. It means Zionism is just what founded Israel. It's a thing that people like. The right to exist doesn't mean anything. It's do you believe in two states or you don't believe in two states? And if you believe in two states, you're the same as Arafat, you're the same as Clinton, you're the same as anyone who thinks wants a solution. Okay?
I don't think it's that simple.
His criticism of Israel's
What do you do for a living, sir? Okay, as opposed to what? Dismantling it and creating something new? I'm the only fucking lunatic that thinks that on Earth. Like, no one else thinks that. There are, but it's a fringe view. It's a fringe view, and I'm on the fringe. The most liberal, progressive, pro-Palestine people want a two-state solution where one is a Jewish state and one is a Palestinian state, and they have their own governments. That's what most.
In front of a room, and they be like,